The very first thing I did after being reborn was blow tens of millions in cold, hard cash. I took my best bro and the campus queen to get inked. For my buddy, Neza on the left arm, Erlang Shen, the true lord, on the right. For the campus queen, the profound fairy of the 9 heavens. As for me, Pangu creating the world on my chest, and 9 dragons pulling a coffin across my back. Donglong Taiyi on my left leg, and the Monkey King on my right. I even mortgaged 300 million in cash, just to buy an abandoned bomb shelter deep in the mountains. Everyone laughed at me, calling me a spoiled rich kid throwing his life away. But what they didn't know. In exactly 20 days, the apocalypse would arrive. By then, every plant and animal on Earth would mutate into something out of a nightmare. Sweet little pets would turn into bloodthirsty monsters. The innocent plants by the roadside? Literal meat grinders. Humanity would plunge from the top of the food chain to the absolute bottom in an instant. The only exception? Those with tattoos. Only they could awaken the extraordinary power of the totems. Right now, I had exactly 20 days before the red moon descended. I didn't waste a single second. I dialed my private lawyer immediately. Lawyer Zhang, take all the shares under my name, worth $1 billion. My properties, my luxury cars. Mortgage them all to the International Underground Bank. Yes, all of it. I just want the cash. I don't care if it's a 70% loss at a fire sale price. Within 24 hours, I need to see 300 million in cold cash sitting right in my account. Hanging up the phone, I quickly dialed 2 more numbers. Half an hour later, at Ghostax, the most hidden underground tattoo parlor in Jiangzhou City. My best buddy Xu Xiaodao and Zhang Xinyi, the famously icy campus queen of Jiangzhou University, were standing there, looking completely lost after I dragged them over. Lie, bro, are you out of your mind? You mortgaged your entire family fortune, just to bring us to get inked? Chin Lai, what on earth are you doing? If this is because that woman, Zhao Yuqing, broke up with you, and you're acting out, there is absolutely no need to destroy your life like this. I looked at them, my voice more serious than it had ever been. Xinyi, Xiaodao. There's no time to explain. If you still trust me, then just listen to me today. Seeing my deadly serious, almost unfamiliar gaze, the two of them finally gritted their teeth and nodded. I turned to the grizzled, tough-looking old master in the shop, slamming a bank card loaded with 1 million right onto the table. Master, I've got a massive job for you. I pointed at Xu Xiaodao. Give my bro Neza on his left arm, and Erlang Shen, the true lord, on his right. Then, I turned my eyes to Zhang Xinyi. For her, a full back piece of the profound fairy of the 9 heavens. Zhang Xinyi froze. A flicker of complex emotion crossed her cold, clear eyes. Chin Lai. Since when did I agree to let you make decisions for me? I looked right at her, lowering my voice. In this life, I'm not going to let you die. Zhang Xinyi's pupils shrank slightly. She had no idea what I meant by that. But I remembered, in my past life, just to save me, Zhang Xinyi was dragged into a nest by a mutated spider queen. By the time I found her, all that was left was half of her blood-soaked school uniform. In this life, I swear I'll keep her completely safe. The old master at Ghostax twitched his eye, and swept up the bank card. You got it. What about you? I stripped off my shirt, revealing my muscular chest, and said, word by word, I want Pangu splitting the heavens across my chest. 9 dragons pulling a coffin on my back, Donglong Taiyi on my left leg, and the Monkey King on my right leg. Clack. The old master's tattoo machine dropped to the floor. He stared at me like I was an absolute lunatic. Kid, do you have a death wish? Pangu splitting the heavens is already a forbidden mark of fate, and you want 9 dragons pulling a coffin too? That thing isn't just some normal mythical totem. It's a cursed, forbidden crest that slaughters all living souls. I just sneered. I'll pay extra. If 1 million isn't enough, I'll give you 10 million. I want you on the needle personally. Have the others assist you. It has to be done in 7 days. The old master's face went pale. 7 days? Are you out of your mind? Tattoos of that sheer scale. Doing it in 7 days is flat out impossible. I pulled a list from my jacket and tossed it onto the table. Military-grade rapid healing gel, bionic recovery patches, imported painkillers, heavy-duty anti-infection drugs. I've got it all ready to go. You just focus on the ink. As for my life, I'll take the risk myself. The old master locked eyes with me, dead silent for a solid 30 seconds. Finally, he bent down and picked up his tattoo machine. His voice was totally hoarse. Fine, I've been slinging ink my whole damn life, and I've never seen a crazy bastard quite like you. I, Ghostax, accept this job. 3 days later, deep in the remote mountains outside Jiangzhou City, an abandoned underground base codenamed Blackstone. On the surface, it looked like a leftover air raid shelter from the Cold War. It was later converted into a maximum security prison, but I knew the truth. Its true identity was a sealed underground command bunker from the old era. The main structure, the power shafts, The ventilation grids, the water reservoirs, they were all still intact. I wasn't paying to build something from scratch. I was paying to reboot and reinforce it. Defense turrets, fully integrated firepower systems, and heavy anti-aircraft guns. Over these 3 days, I only went out to the Blackstone base once to sign the contract. Inspect the structural integrity and make sure the power and ventilation were still functional. I left everything else to my lawyers and the construction crew. After all, buying the base wasn't the real-time drain. It was getting these 4 forbidden totems inked onto my body. Are you seriously dropping 30 million to buy this godforsaken dump? The real estate agent wiped the cold sweat from his forehead, staring at me, the most notorious rich screw-up in Jiangzhou. I'm not just buying it, I'm overhauling it. I signed the contract with a heavy, decisive stroke of my pen. Now, get me the best security construction firm in the country. I want this done in 10 days. I want this place turned into a doomsday bunker so tight, not even a single fly could get in. 5-meter-high military-grade titanium walls, and a 10 million-ton blast-proof vault door. The top-tier eco-circulation system and that sealed energy core underground. Get them all fully repaired and restarted. I'm putting up 100 million in cash. Dump it all in within 10 days. Money is not an issue. I'll pay triple the wages. Keep it running 24 hours a day, non-stop. As I issued order after order, the entire construction industry of Jiangzhou City was completely shaken up. Right now, I was sitting shirtless in the deepest private room of the Ghost Axe underground tattoo parlor. The dim, yellowish light hit the walls, which were covered with all sorts of eerie and bizarre totem designs. The air was thick with the mixed scent of rubbing alcohol and tattoo ink. Master Ghost Axe was wielding the needle himself, with 3 of his apprentices assisting right beside him. Mixing the colors, tracing the outlines, wiping the raw skin, the 9 dragons pulling a coffin piece on my back. Already had the outline of the first black dragon finished. Only its eye hadn't been dotted in yet it already gave off an indescribable sense of overwhelming pressure. Xu Xiaodao was sitting nearby. The Neza tattoo on his left arm was already taking shape, and he was wincing and gritting his teeth in pain. Meanwhile, Zhang Xinyi was in her own private room next door, having a female artist finish the fine details of her 9 Heavens Profound Fairy. My phone stayed right beside me. On the screen, messages from lawyers, agents, and construction teams, along with material suppliers, kept popping up non-stop, as I endured the agonizing pain of the needle piercing my skin. I was remotely issuing commands. The renovation of the Blackstone base was pushing forward at the exact same time. The tattoos on the Doomsday Fortress, neither of these 2 things could be delayed for a single second. I casually swiped my phone screen open, and a notification popped up. Shocking news, wealthy heir Qin Lai liquidates all his family assets, and runs off to the deep mountains to buy an abandoned prison. I tapped into a livestream app, and randomly entered the top trending local broadcast. Surprisingly, it belonged to my absolute nemesis, Xu Rui, the son of Jiangzhou's richest man. On the livestream screen, Xu Rui was lounging in his luxurious downtown villa, swirling a glass of red wine. He was laughing so hard he was practically gasping. Ha ha ha, what the hell is wrong with Qin Lai? Did he lose his goddamn mind over something? Oh, young Master Xu. Thank goodness I saw right through that psycho a long time ago. I dumped his ass early on and came running straight to you. I heard he even dragged Zhang Xinyi, that stuck-up bitch, to go get a whole set of sketchy gang tattoos. It is just too hilarious. As the camera shook, a freshly tattooed red flower branch peeked out from Zhao Yuqing's waist, as seductively vibrant as fresh blood. I cast a quick glance at it, my gaze instantly turning ice cold. A spider lily. In our past life, Zhao Yuqing never had that tattoo. It looks like in this life, she's really put in quite the effort just to suck up to Xu Rui. Xu Rui practically yelled into the camera, full of hyper-enthusiasm. Hey guys, can you believe this? Qin Lai didn't just dump all his cash into that rundown hole in the middle of nowhere. I heard he also blew over 100 million just ordering pork and rice from all the major supermarkets. Is he planning to rot in there for the rest of his life? Ha ha ha, the livestream chat instantly exploded. Holy shit, poverty really limits my imagination. Are rich people's mental states really this far out there? Zhang Xinyi is the goddess of our dreams, man. And she's actually following him to live in a bomb shelter? Diagnosis confirmed. Qin Lai has absolutely lost his damn mind. I suggest sending him straight to the asylum. Watching this overwhelming wave of online mockery and curses, Xu Xiaodao was shaking with rage. Boss Lai, that bastard Xu Rui is stirring up trouble online, getting everyone to cyberbully you. I'm gonna go make him pay. Ignore him. I embraced the sharp sting of the needle piercing my skin. I stared at Xu Rui's arrogant face on the screen, my eyes completely calm. The higher he climbs now, the harder he'll fall when the time comes. Xiaodao, keep a close eye on the supply convoy. Our Doomsday Fortress cannot afford a single mistake. It had been exactly 7 days since my rebirth. For the past 7 days, I barely stepped out of this underground VIP room. Old Master Ghost Axe and his 3 apprentices worked in shifts, tracing lines during the day, coloring at night, and fine-tuning the details into the early hours of the morning. To speed things up, I even had someone hit the black market to buy military-grade rapid healing gel and bionic recovery patches. Every time a section of the totem was done, they'd immediately seal the wound with the healing gel. Otherwise, with this level of intensity, my skin would have ripped apart ages ago. Late at night on the 7th day, inside Ghost Axe's deepest private room, the buzzing of the tattoo machine finally stopped. Xu Xiaodao's Neza and Erlang Shen tattoos were finished 2 days ago. And Zhang Xinyi's Mystic Fairy of the 9 Heavens got its final touch just yesterday. As for me, my 4 major taboo totems were finally complete. On my chest, Pan Gu splitting the heavens. On my back, 9 dragons pulling the coffin. On my left leg, the Eastern Emperor Tai Yi. On my right, the Great Sage equal to heaven. Old Master Ghost Axe peeled off his gloves, staring at the artwork covering my body. He let out a long, heavy breath. It's done, young Master Qin. I've been tattooing my whole damn life. And I've never taken on a job this massive. Pan Gu splitting the heavens. 9 dragons pulling the coffin. The Eastern Emperor Tai Yi. The Great Sage equal to heaven. I'll tell you what, with this set of ink alone, nobody in the entire Jiangzhou tattoo scene would ever dare claim they're better than Ghost Axe. I sat up from the tattoo chair. In the mirror, the 4 taboo totems completely covered my chest, back, and both legs. Every single line was incredibly sharp, ancient, and profound, especially the 9 dragons pulling the coffin on my back. 9 black dragons spiraled up from both sides of my spine, their scales overlapping perfectly, all 9 tails twisted together right in the center of my back, violently dragging an ancient black coffin. Blood-red chains were tightly wrapped around it. It was just a tattoo, yet it gave off this suffocating, unspeakable sense of dread. Xu Xiaodao walked a full circle around me, nervously gulping down his saliva. Boss Lai, this is totally insane. If I hadn't watched it get inked myself, I'd swear this thing was gonna come alive and move at night. I threw my clothes back on, covering up the totems. Right now, they're just tattoos. But once the blood moon descends, they'll truly wake up. Xu Xiaodao froze for a second. The blood moon? I didn't bother explaining right away. Instead, I just checked the time on my phone. There were exactly 12 days left until the blood moon arrived. Let's go. We're heading to the Black Stone base. It's time to inspect our Doomsday fortress. 2 hours later, we arrived deep in the mountains on the outskirts of Jiangzhou City. The underground base, codenamed Black Stone, had just finished its initial renovations. The underground ventilation system, the energy core, and the ecological circulation system had all been completely rebuilt. Over the next 12 days, I hardly rested at all. During the day, I personally supervised the final renovations of the Black Stone base. At night, I used my original power of rebirth to suppress the backlash from the 4 forbidden totems. Truckload after truckload of supplies poured into the base non-stop. Rice, flour, fresh meat, canned food, drinking water, medical supplies, diesel fuel, heavy-duty off-road vehicles, backup generators, military-grade hazmat suits, every single survival supply money could buy. I bought them all out. Everyone on the outside thought I'd completely lost my mind, but only I knew, time was running out for the civilized world. The day before the red moon descended, the very last batch of supplies was delivered to the Black Stone base. Inside the warehouse, rice, flour, drinking water, canned food, fresh meat, medicine, diesel fuel, backup generators, military-grade hazmat suits, piled up like mountains, exactly 3 stories high. The underground warehouse was absolutely stuffed to the brim. Xu Xiaodao stood right at the entrance, staring blankly. Brother Lai, are you planning to live down here for the rest of your life? Zhang Xinyi was also silently staring at everything in front of her. Even though she already knew I had hoarded a massive amount of supplies, seeing this underground warehouse completely packed with survival resources with her own eyes still made her frown. Qin Lai, just what exactly are you preparing for? I didn't answer her right away. Instead, I just walked right to the center of the warehouse, and slowly raised my right hand. The next second, with just a single thought, swoosh, the massive pile right in front of us, 3 stories high, and weighing thousands of tons, vanished into thin air in an instant. The underground warehouse that was just completely packed became totally empty in a single second. The only things left were the deep marks pressed into the floor, and the lingering smell of diesel and grain in the air. Xu Xiaodao completely froze in his tracks. He blinked a few times, then rubbed his eyes in disbelief, and finally rushed straight into the center of the warehouse, running 3 full laps around the empty floor. Holy shit. He violently whipped his head around to look at me, his voice completely cracking. Brother Lai, where is everything? Where did a whole damn warehouse of stuff go? I literally just blinked for 1 second, and thousands of tons of supplies are gone. There aren't even any trapdoors down here. Are you doing magic or something? Zhang Xinyi's reaction wasn't quite as over the top as Xu Xiaodao's, but her usually cold and calm eyes had clearly lost their composure. She slowly walked right up to me, staring intensely at my right hand. Brother Lai, what exactly is going on here? I stayed silent for a moment. At this point, there was absolutely no reason to hide the truth from them anymore. With less than 24 hours until the red moon descends, they need to know the truth. I spoke slowly. This is a bound spatial dimension. It has to do with some unique changes in my body, regarding rebirth. I still kept the full truth to myself. It wasn't that I didn't trust them. It was just that telling them too much right now would only weigh heavily on their minds. I continued, all you need to know is that this space can store a massive amount of supplies, and time inside is practically frozen. Food placed inside won't rot, and medicines will never expire. Diesel, weapons, even crystal cores can be preserved indefinitely. Xu Xiaodao's jaw dropped. So, hoarding all that stuff, you weren't planning to just pile it up in the warehouse. You're planning to carry it all with you. Exactly. Brother Lai, man, what exactly are you hiding from us? Tomorrow night, the red moon will descend. The red moon? Tomorrow night at 12 midnight. The moon in the sky will turn blood red. Right after that, a black mist will surge up from deep underground, sweeping across the entire globe. Every animal and plant will undergo a crazed mutation. Cats and dogs will turn into man-eating monsters. Plants will devour the living. Cities will completely lose order within a few hours. Human civilization will collapse overnight. A dead silence fell over the warehouse. Xu Xiaodao's lips parted slightly. For once, he didn't immediately crack a joke, because watching thousands of tons of supplies vanish into thin air right before his eyes had already utterly shattered his grasp on reality. Zhang Xinyi didn't argue either. She simply stared at me intently. Where's the proof? What you just witnessed is part of the proof. The rest are the tattoos on your bodies. Zhang Xinyi instinctively glanced toward her own back. I continued speaking. The energy of the red moon will activate human tattoos, transforming them into true, physical totem avatars. Ordinary designs will only awaken basic physical enhancements. Ferocious beast tattoos will awaken bestial shapeshifting abilities. But mythological totems, they will awaken genuine divine avatars. The more ancient and complete the totem is, the more powerful the destiny it carries. And the more terrifying its awakened power will be. So, you making me get tattoos of Neza and Erlang Shen was just to keep me alive? Your Neza and True Lord Erlang are both top-tier mythological totems. As long as you can survive the pain of the Red Moon's awakening, you're going to be stronger than the vast majority of the awakened. Then, I turned my gaze back to Zhang Xinyi. Xinyi, your Jushin Shuanu is a high-tier avatar, absolutely flawless in offense, defense, and battlefield coordination. In the apocalyptic world, toxins, pollution, and mind-corrupting beasts are going to multiply rapidly. Your totem is incredibly important. So, you selling off your assets, buying the Blackstone base, hoarding supplies, and making us get these tattoos. None of that was on a whim. You knew all along that something huge was coming. Yes, the shock on Zhang Xinyi's face slowly began to fade, replaced entirely by sheer tension. Xu Xiaodao's expression also changed in a flash. Wait, hold on, Brother Lai. What about my parents? My folks are still at the auto repair shop on the south side of town. Don't panic. I've already sent someone to pick them up. What did you just say? It's the live feed from the convoy. A black armored van is pulling up outside Old South Street. The doors are opening. 2 bodyguards in black tactical gear were escorting a middle-aged couple into the vehicle. The man wasn't very tall, and his skin was tanned dark. His hands were stained with grease from years of fixing cars. Xiao Dao stared at the screen, his eyes instantly turning red. Brother Lai. I reached out to your parents earlier, using the excuse that Blackstone Base needed maintenance and logistics staff. They don't know about the apocalypse. They just think I'm paying them top dollar to work at the base for a few days. The convoy will be here in 20 minutes. Xiao Dao's lips trembled. He couldn't speak for a long time. In our past life, after the red moon fell, Xiao Dao risked everything trying to get back to the south side to save his parents. But Old South Street had already been overrun by a swarm of mutated rats. In the end, all he found was his dad's broken wrench, and that old apron his mom could never bear to throw away. From that day on, Xiao Dao slaughtered mutated beasts like a madman, until he finally died inside a monster's nest. But in this life, I won't let them suffer that tragedy again. I patted him on the shoulder. Don't worry, your parents. I brought them here for you this time. Xiao Dao kept his head down. his shoulders shaking slightly. After a long moment, he finally looked up, his eyes bloodshot, and said, "Brother Lai, thank you." I just smiled. Zhang Xinyi watched the scene in silence. After a moment, she asked softly, "What about my father?" "Professor Zhang is completely safe right now." "Wait, you know my dad?" "Zhang Chengyuan, top academician at the Dragon Country Energy Research Institute," I replied. "Half a month ago, the military escorted him to the capital's underground base. He's working on a top-secret energy core project. It's one of the safest places in the entire country right now." "As for your mother," I paused. Xinyi's mother had passed away from illness years ago. It was an open wound in her heart. She didn't press the issue and just gave a gentle nod. "I understand." I looked at the two of them, my voice growing deadly serious. "From this moment on, Blackstone Base is on total lockdown. Nobody leaves the base." Xiao Dao took a deep breath and nodded. Xinyi slowly pressed a hand over the goddess of the Nine Heavens tattoo on her back. I looked up at the pitch-black night outside the base. Everything was ready. Now, we just had to wait for the storm to hit. Early the next morning, in the underground living quarters of Blackstone Base, Xiao Dao's parents had already been settled into the most secure living pods. His father, Xu Jiangguo, had served in the military when he was younger. Even though he had no idea what was about to happen, the moment he saw the heavy defense specs of the base, he instantly knew something was wrong. But he didn't ask any questions. He just patted Xiao Dao's shoulder and said, "Stick with Qin Lai and do your job well." Meanwhile, his mother, Li Gilan, had been busy in the kitchen all morning, whipping up a massive pot of homemade dumplings for us. Xiao Dao's eyes were red as he ate, but he couldn't stop smiling. Right before the end of the world, having a hot, home-cooked meal was a luxury most people could only dream of. Last night, I had stored the very last batch of supplies into my personal spatial dimension. The final 10-ton titanium alloy door of Blackstone Base completely locked down in the early hours of the morning. The entire underground fortress was blazing with light, and the long-sealed subterranean energy core was running flawlessly. The surveillance monitors displayed a 360-degree, blind spot-free view of the outside world. Xu Xiaodao sat nearby watching the monitors, clutching a bowl of dumplings, while Zhang Xinyi stood in front of the giant screen, checking the external defense grid. The mystic goddess of the Nine Heavens tattoo on his body had completely healed. His usual cold demeanor now carried an indescribably sharp edge. Right at that moment, my phone buzzed with a local trending notification. Xu Rui was live streaming again. On the screen, Xu Rui was still in his luxurious downtown villa, throwing an extravagant party. Under the crystal chandeliers, champagne towers, loud music, gorgeous girls, rich trust fund kids. The whole live stream reeked of pure luxury and decadence. I glanced up at the time. Less than an hour left until the crimson moon descended. Xu Rui had his arms wrapped around Zhao Yuqing, sneering wildly into the camera. "Do you see this, chat? Do you see this? That absolute psycho, Qin Lai, is probably cowering in some mountain bunker right now, selling off all his assets, hoarding rice, stocking up on pork. He even dragged Zhang Xinyi to go get matching tattoos. Does he actually think the apocalypse is coming?" "Haha." Zhao Yuqing snuggled into his chest, laughing so hard she was shaking. "Oh my god, Xu. You know, I honestly can't wait to see how Qin Lai is gonna show his face tomorrow." Xu Rui swirled his glass of red wine, laughing even more arrogantly. "If nothing happens tonight, tomorrow I'm taking the boys up into those mountains. We're gonna smash Qin Lai's garbage bunker to pieces, and I'll personally lock his crazy ass in a psych ward." In the live chat, the mockery, the jeering, and the insults merged into a wild, toxic frenzy. But inside Blackstone Base, it was dead silent, save for the low, deep hum of the energy core. I raised my wrist and checked the time. 11:59 p.m. Only 10 seconds left until the crimson moon descends. The outside world was still partying hard. Inside Blackstone Base, it remained completely silent, leaving only the deep hum of the energy core. 10 seconds later, I put down my knife and fork. The countdown hit 0, buzz, accompanied by a heavy, hollow ringing that sounded like it echoed from the ancient past. The entire earth trembled violently. On the live stream, Xu Rui's arrogant, mocking laughter came to a dead, abrupt halt. Because in the night sky outside his villa's floor-to-ceiling windows, that bright, pale moon instantly turned a twisted, bloody scarlet. It looked exactly like a bleeding eyeball, staring dead straight down at humanity. Right after that, a pitch-black, suffocating fog erupted straight out of the ground, instantly swallowing the entire city of Jiangzhou. Holy shit, what the hell is that thing? The moon. Why is the moon actually red? On the live stream, Xu Rui screamed in pure terror, completely unaware that his wine glass had just shattered onto the floor. Bark, bark, bark. All of a sudden, on the live stream, that purebred toy poodle snuggled up in Zhao Yuqing's arms, let out a bone-chilling, monstrous roar. Right in front of hundreds of thousands of viewers. The teddy dog's body swelled up crazily, expanding like a balloon. Black bone spikes jutted out all over its body, and its eyes glowed a furious blood red. Its massive jaws were packed with razor-sharp fangs. The mutated hound lunged straight at Zhao Yuqing. Its vicious claws ripped through her shoulder, slamming her hard to the ground. The live stream feed shook violently, as an agonizing scream pierced right through the eardrums. Shu Rui, please, save me. Zhao Yuqing's face was deathly pale as she desperately reached out to Shu Rui. But Shu Rui was already paralyzed with fear. Get away from me, don't come near me, he screamed, scrambling backward in sheer panic. He even kicked away her desperate hand, literally stumbling and crawling as he fled up to the second floor. Zhao Yuqing collapsed onto the floor, the fabric on her shoulder completely soaked in blood. Her entire body was trembling violently. Shu Rui, save me, but the only response she got was the sight of Shu Rui's back as he ran for his life. The mutated hound let out a low growl, creeping closer once again. Its bloodshot eyes locked dead onto her. Meanwhile, in the live chat, the comments were scrolling like crazy. Somebody save her. Holy crap, how could Shu Rui just run away? He just said he loved her. And now he just abandons her. It's over, it's totally over. She's dead meat. The light of hope in Zhao Yuqing's eyes slowly died out. It was replaced by an intense, burning resentment. Just as the monster was about to lunge for the kill, the red spider lily tattoo on her waist suddenly flared with an eerie, blood-red glow. Phantom-like crimson petals began to bloom silently right beneath her body. A cold, sickeningly sweet floral scent filled the air. The mutated hound suddenly froze in its tracks. It was as if it had caught the scent of something incredibly dangerous. A flicker of sheer terror actually crossed its bloodshot eyes. Zhao Yuqing slowly raised her head. Deep within her pupils, a sea of blooming, blood-red flowers was reflected, radiating an indescribable, bone-chilling aura. Why did you abandon me, too? Shu Rui had just reached the top of the stairs. When he heard those words, his entire body stiffened in shock. He slowly turned his head, only to see red spider lilies blooming silently beneath Zhao Yuqing. The petals moved like living creatures, slowly slithering up to wrap around the mutated dog's limbs. The beast that had been so vicious just seconds ago was now thrashing as if trapped in a living nightmare. It collapsed to the ground, shivering uncontrollably. Zhao Yuqing leaned against the wall, slowly pulling herself up. The gaping wound on her shoulder was now sealed by glowing red patterns. A twisted, eerie smile crept across her pale face. The live chat absolutely exploded in that instant. Holy shit, she awakened. Flowers are literally growing out of her. What kind of power is that? This is way too creepy. Too creepy. The very next second, the screen violently cut to black. The stream disconnected. I sat there, staring at the pitch-black screen of my phone. A cold, mocking smirk played on my lips. The spider lily of the underworld. When the flower of hell blooms, there is no turning back. Zhao Yuqing really picked a fitting end for herself in this life. Brother Lai, the whole city is in absolute chaos. Xu Xiaodao's voice was shaking as he stared at the live surveillance footage of the city. Stop looking at the streets. Keep your mind focused. I snapped, spinning around abruptly. Because right now, the red moon energy, piercing through 100 meters of earth, has already crashed down upon us. Xu Xiaodao and Zhang Xinyi let out painful groans at the exact same time. The red moon energy felt like boiling magma, surging madly into their bodies. On Xu Xiaodao's left arm, the tattoo of the great god Neza erupted into a towering pillar of fire. And on his right arm, the third eye of Lord Erlang suddenly snapped open, shooting out blinding rays of golden light. On Zhang Xinyi's back, the totem of the Nine Heavens mystic fairy transformed into a shimmering shower of divine rain. It lifted her high into the air. Her usually cold aura now felt completely sacred and untouchable. They had awakened, but the red moon energy pouring into me was 100 times stronger than theirs. Boom! I violently ripped off my jacket. Instantly, the Pangu tattoo on my chest erupted with a blinding, dark gold radiance. A vast and ancient aura, an absolute power heavy enough to crush eternity itself, exploded outward with me at the center. And right after that, a tearing, agonizing pain ripped through my back. 9 deep dragon roars detonated deep inside the bunker all at once. Fed by the red moon energy, the totem of the 9 dragons pulling a coffin on my back was fully waking up. 9 massive, pitch-black dragon shadows slowly writhed out from behind me. Their massive bodies, covered in cold, jagged scales. Suddenly, all their glowing crimson eyes snapped open. They dragged an ancient, heavy black coffin, hovering ominously right behind me. The blood-red chains wrapped around the coffin pulled tight with a sharp clink. An unimaginable, forbidden pressure instantly swept through the entire underground fortress. Xu Xiaodao's face went pale, and he stumbled back several steps. Even the avatar of the Nine Heavens mystic fairy behind Zhang Xinyi trembled, as if instinctively terrified by the threat. Down on my left leg, the Eastern Emperor totem ignited with the true fire of the sun, burning hot enough to incinerate the entire world. And on my right leg, the phantom of the Monkey King erupted with an earth-shattering fighting spirit. The invincible golden body of battle, completely untouched by any magic. 4 supreme avatars awoke all at the exact same time, but I quickly gritted my teeth and forced their clashing energies under control. These 4 forbidden powers were just too overwhelming. Right now, I couldn't unleash them all at once without paying a heavy price. Pangu commands absolute raw power. The 9 Dragons' Coffin commands suppression and absolute destruction. The Eastern Emperor commands the flames, and the Monkey King commands the ultimate battle body. For now, I can only choose one to fight with at a time. Suddenly, a massive, violent crash echoed from the titanium alloy gates outside the bunker. I glanced at the security monitors. The mutant wild boars and wolves from deep in the mountains had tracked our scent and were now smashing wildly into the metal gates. Brother Lai, the beasts in the mountains, they've mutated. Shu Xiaodao gripped the 3-pointed, double-edged blade formed by his Erlang avatar, his eyes burning with wild excitement. I rolled my shoulders and cracked my neck. My joints popped like loud cracks of thunder. Let's go. Time to head out and stretch our legs a bit. Let's see if these so-called apocalyptic monsters are even worthy of being our appetizers. Outside the bunker, a thick black fog swallowed the area. Dozens of mutant beasts were relentlessly throwing themselves at the titanium walls. Leading the pack was a monstrous mutant boar king, over 3 meters long and covered entirely in thick, black armor plates. Every time it slammed into the wall, the entire ground shook. Slowly, the heavy side door of the bunker squeaked open. Shirtless and ready, I marched straight out into the fog, with Shu Xiaodao and Zhang Xinyi right behind me. The moment they caught the scent of fresh human flesh, the pack of mutant beasts stopped dead in their tracks. They all snapped their heads toward us in unison, their glowing, blood-red eyes locking onto us like targets. The mutant boar king let out a deafening roar. It dug its hooves into the dirt and charged. It barreled straight toward me like an unstoppable tank. Brother Lai, watch out. That's a level 1 peak mutated beast. Shu Xiaodao instinctively tried to step forward. Get back. I spat out the words coldly. I stood my ground, not moving an inch. Just as the wild boar king's spear-like tusk was about to pierce right through my chest, I finally moved. No flashy moves. I just raised my right hand, clenched my fingers into a fist, and called upon the power of Pan-Ji-Yu. I chanted silently. Instantly, the Pan-Ji-Yu totem on my chest flared with a blinding, dark gold light. A blurry phantom of an ancient giant gathered around my fist, and I threw a devastating punch. Boom! The air was compressed to the absolute limit by the terrifying force. Unleashing a deafening sonic boom, my fist slammed dead center into the mutated wild boar king's skull. With a massive, ringing thud, an overwhelming shockwave of energy pierced straight through its rock-hard skull, instantly obliterating every ounce of life inside it. That massive, multi-ton mutated wild boar king didn't even have time to squeal. Its gigantic body collapsed at my feet like a pile of dead weight. One single punch to insta-kill a level 1 peak beast king. Right after, 9 low, rumbling dragon roars echoed from my back, as the phantom of 9 dragons pulling a coffin materialized behind me. The 9 black dragons slowly opened their glowing crimson eyes, dragging that ancient black coffin and crushing the very fabric of space. 9 dragons suppression. I roared out. Rumble. The pitch-black phantom pulsed violently. A terrifying, forbidden pressure that felt like it came from the deepest abyss instantly blanketed the entire forest. Those low-level mutated beasts didn't even stand a chance. They were instantly crushed flat against the dirt. You could hear the sickening crunch of their bones shattering under the weight. In just 10 short seconds, dozens of mutated beasts were completely wiped out. Shu Xiaodao watched, absolutely dumbfounded. Bro Lai, that's just insane. Zhang Xinyi stood quietly behind me, but a flicker of pure shock flashed through her cold, beautiful eyes. I didn't bother explaining. I just walked over to the mutated wild boar king, raised my hand and sliced its skull wide open. A thumb-sized crystal, glowing with a faint red aura, dropped into my palm. The most crucial hard currency of the apocalypse. A crystal core. I smirked. The first real loot of the apocalypse was finally in my hands. I tossed the crystal core into my companion storage space. The moment the core went in, I could clearly feel the storage space vibrate slightly. Although the expansion was incredibly small, it definitely got just a tiny bit bigger. In my past life, humanity quickly discovered that crystal cores could not only boost an awaken's power, but they could also fuel special spatial abilities, totem manifestations, and even power-up weapons and gear. In the late stages of the apocalypse, they completely replaced gold and paper money, becoming the single universal currency. I glanced over at Shu Xiaodao. Dig out every single crystal core from these mutated beasts. And don't waste the meat, either. We can purify and store it for later. You got it. Shu Xiaodao instantly perked up. On it, boss. Right at that moment, from the mountain road not too far away, the chaotic sound of frantic footsteps and screaming echoed out. Help! Somebody save us! I spotted over a dozen battered, desperate men stumbling and crawling their way toward the air raid shelter. And right on their tails were several massive creatures, as big as cheetahs. Mutated blood-blade mantises. I narrowed my eyes, finally getting a clear look at the guy leading the pack. Fatty Lou, the contractor who handled the exterior construction for Black Rock Base. In my past life, these bastards kicked me when I was down, feeding me to the mutant beasts just to buy themselves some time. Boss Chin, Master Chin, help us. Please, let us in to hide. We're all from Jiangzhou. You can't just leave us here to die. I stood there, staring at him coldly. Leave you to die? A cold glint flashed in my eyes. Back in my past life, when you stabbed me in the back, why didn't you care that we were all from Jiangzhou then? Fatty Lou froze. Of course, he had no idea what the hell I was talking about. But he understood my gaze. It wasn't the look of a savior. It was the look of a man staring at a corpse. I slowly raised my right hand. My bunker doesn't take in trash. With that, I snapped my fingers. The titanium walls surrounding the bunker instantly erupted with terrifying high-voltage electric arcs. The bloodblade mantises charging at the front were instantly blasted away by 10 million volts of electricity. Master Chin, I'm so sorry, I was wrong. I didn't even look at him. I don't go out of my way to slaughter the innocent. But I won't save my enemies. And I will absolutely slaughter the wicked. I turned around and walked back inside. The massive titanium doors slowly sealed shut. The screams outside were quickly swallowed by the black fog. Day 3 of the Red Moon's descent. The outside world had completely turned into a living hell. The city center was nothing but ruined vehicles and rubble. Mutated stray dogs and cats, now the size of cows, roamed the streets in packs, hunting down survivors. Meanwhile, inside the Black Rock bunker, the rich, spicy aroma of a beef tallow hot pot filled the air. Xiaodao stuffed his face, grease dripping from his mouth. Brother Lai, if the apocalypse is like this every day, I think I could get used to it. Zhang Xinyi shot him a glare. Why don't you step outside and try saying that? Xiaodao instantly shut his mouth. I picked up an ice-cold beer and took a sip, leaning back on the couch. Just then, a piercing alarm suddenly blared. Beep, 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 warning, large number of heat sources detected approaching the outer perimeter. I tapped the massive security screen. On the mountain road, 1 kilometer outside the bunker, a massive, swarming crowd was marching right toward us. There had to be at least 500 or 600 of them. They were armed with machetes and steel pipes. Some were even carrying automatic rifles. Leading the pack was a massive, bare-chested bald guy with a savage look on his face. Wrapped around his torso was an incredibly realistic, blood-red python tattoo. Long Wu, the boss of the Azure Dragon Gang. In my past life, this bastard used his S-rank blood python totem to terrorize everyone during the early days of the apocalypse. I didn't expect him to actually target me in this life. On the monitor, Long Wu rested a heavy machete on his shoulder and roared at our gates. You cowardly little turtle, listen up. I know you've hoarded enough food to last a few lifetimes in there. Open the damn doors right now. Hand over your supplies and your women. If I'm in a good mood, I might just let you live. Otherwise, I'll blow this garbage shell of yours wide open. These miserable bastards. Still got the nerve to go after Zhang Xinyi? I just chuckled. No rush. This defense system cost tens of millions to install. Might as well see it in action. Outside the bunker, Dragon 5 had been waiting for ages. Seeing zero response from inside, he flew into a blind rage. Ungrateful bastards. Open fire. Blow this damn door wide open. Blow it down. 3 rockets roared through the air, trailing streams of fire. They slammed hard into the main gate. Boom. A massive explosion ripped through the night sky. The Azure Dragon Gang thugs immediately erupted into wild cheers. That definitely blew it open. Ha ha ha. Some doomsday fortress this is. In front of our boss, it's just a metal coffin. But as the smoke cleared, every single smile froze dead. That silver-gray titanium gate still stood tall. There wasn't even a single dent on its surface. Dragon 5's face darkened. Keep bombing. Right at that moment, the metal armor atop the outer wall suddenly slid open. 12 cold, 6-barrel Gatling guns slowly rose from hidden compartments. Their pitch-black muzzles ruthlessly locked onto the dense crowd below. Inside the control room, I took a sip from my glass and spoke with a flat tone. First warning, the external speakers crackled to life. This is Blackstone Base, private property. Leave immediately, or face the consequences. Ha ha ha. Private property? I am the damn law around here. Charge. I set my glass down. Fire. The very next second, rat-a-tat-tat, all 12 Gatling guns opened fire at once. High-caliber armor-piercing rounds formed an airtight storm of metal. The mountain road was instantly lit up by muzzle flashes. The Azure Dragon thugs were mowed down in droves. In just half a minute, screams echoed outside the bunker. Over 200 gang members were completely wiped out. The survivors scrambled back in absolute terror. Sitting in the control room, I watched with a deadpan expression. In this apocalypse, some people just don't deserve salvation. Cease fire. I hit the stop button. Outside the bunker, out of the 500 to 600 Azure Dragon thugs, barely half were left standing. Son of a bitch, I'm gonna skin you alive. Dragon 5 stood up, absolutely drenched in blood. A thick layer of crimson scales now covered his skin. As an S-rank blood python awakened, his vitality and defense were off the charts. Normal firepower really wasn't enough to kill him. Earth awakened. Start digging under. If I don't slaughter every last one of them today, I ain't a fucking man. A few thugs with pangolin tattoos instantly triggered their powers. They frantically began tunneling into the ground. I stared coldly at the monitors. You really have a death wish. I stood up. Hey, Shinyi, hold down the fort. I'm going out to take out the trash. The titanium gate slowly groaned open, and I stepped out of the bunker, all alone. Dragon 5 sneered. Finally coming out to die, huh? Get him, boys. Seeing I was completely alone, the remaining 200 or so thugs suddenly got their nerve back. They raised their weapons and charged right at me. I just stood my ground. Slowly, I lifted my left leg. The Donglong Taiyi totem on it erupted with a blinding, dark gold light. A terrifying wave of heat, hot enough to incinerate the heavens and melt everything in its path, exploded outward with me at the center. True fire of the sun. I slammed my foot into the ground. Boom. A sea of golden flames swept outward like a raging tsunami. The dozens of thugs at the very front were blasted right up into the air the second they touched the golden fire. The earth was scorched black, and their steel weapons melted into glowing slag in an instant. The terrifying heat forced everyone to scramble back in a panic. They weren't even worthy of getting close to me. With just one single strike, the mob of over 200 thugs completely shattered. Long Wu was the only one left standing, completely alone. His legs gave out, and he collapsed heavily to his knees. Monster. What the hell kind of monster are you? I walked toward him, step by step. Now you're scared? It's too damn late. Long Wu knelt on the ground, terrified, watching me get closer and closer. His mind completely broke. Impossible. I'm an S-class awakener. There is no way I could lose to you. A crazed, vicious look flashed in his eyes. He savagely bit down on the tip of his tongue, and spat a mouthful of lifeblood onto the blood python tattoo on his chest. Roar. With an unearthly, guttural hiss, Long Wu's body began to violently mutate. His bones stretched out sickeningly, and thick scales completely covered his skin. He transformed into a terrifying blood python, over 20 meters long and as thick as a water tank. S-class totem, full form awakening. I'm going to swallow you whole. The blood python unhinged its massive jaws, wide enough to swallow a car, and lunged right at me. A foul wind blasted my face, sucking up the gravel from the ground straight into its gaping maw. You think just being big makes you tough? I scoffed. I slammed my right foot forward. Great Sage, equal to heaven. Golden battle body. The Great Sage totem on my right leg flared with blinding golden light. A terrifying fighting spirit that could crush heaven and earth erupted into the sky. In the very next second, my skin was coated in a brilliant, flowing golden aura. My bones cracked and thundered. My blood surged like a roaring dragon. A massive phantom figure materialized, clad in chainmail gold armor, and wearing a phoenix-feathered purple gold crown. As the Great Sage's phantom fully appeared behind me, those fiery golden eyes snapped open, tearing a massive rift straight through the dark fog covering the sky. The blood python struck. Instead of falling back, I charged forward. I launched myself into the air like a cannonball. I slammed my foot brutally under the beast's lower jaw, forcibly snapping its massive head backward. The python let out an agonizing shriek. Its huge body thrashed and rolled frantically, desperate to throw me off. But I stood perfectly planted right on top of its head. My feet were anchored like a mountain. I didn't budge a single inch. Ruer, the blood python, was absolutely furious. Its massive tail whipped around, sweeping toward me with devastating force. As the tail swept past, trees and boulders along its path exploded into dust. Slowly, I raised my right hand. Behind me, the Great Sage Phantom raised its hand in perfect sync. Out of thin air, a long staff blazing with golden battle intent began to form. Ancient runes ignited inch by inch along the iron. The golden cudgel. The moment my fingers gripped the phantom of the golden cudgel, an indescribable, ferocious battle lust surged through every bone in my body. Freeze, I roared, sweeping the cudgel horizontally. Boom, the phantom cudgel and the giant blood python's tail smashed into each other with terrifying force. The air literally exploded. A massive shockwave ripped through the forest like a hurricane. That massive tail, thick enough to crush a tank, had its scales brutally shattered by my strike. It was sent flying backward. In the eyes of the blood python that Long Wu had become, absolute terror finally appeared. Impossible. I'm an S-rank beast. How could you possibly overpower me? I stood right on top of his head, looking down on him with dead, ice-cold eyes. Because your pathetic S-rank power, in the face of a forbidden totem, is absolutely nothing. As my words fell, I gripped the golden cudgel with both hands and raised it high into the sky. Behind me, the phantom of the great sage equal to heaven violently expanded. 10 meters, 30 meters, it finally transformed into a colossal, heaven-spanning golden battle ape. It stood upon the black mist, its head touching the blood-red moon. The golden cudgel in its hands was like a pillar holding up the sky itself. With a terrifying aura that could crush mountains and rivers, I aimed right at the python's vital spot and smashed it down. Demon suppressing strike. Boom. As the cudgel slammed down, the entire mountain forest literally jumped. The earth split wide open, sending boulders blasting into the sky. The massive blood python was pounded straight into the dirt. The scales right at its weak point shattered to pieces. That terrifying destructive force surged right through its bones, completely obliterating every ounce of life inside it. The beast's pupils shrank violently. Its massive body twitched a few times in the dirt, and finally went dead stiff. The thick black mist covering the mountain was completely blown away by the shockwave of that single strike. I withdrew the phantom cudgel and landed smoothly on my feet. Behind me, the giant avatar of the great sage slowly faded away. Only a faint golden glow remained on my right leg's totem. The S-rank awakened user, Long Wu, killed in a single strike. I formed my fingers into a blade and sliced open the beast's skull. I pulled out a glowing core radiating a deep red light. Not bad. A core formed by an S-rank totem. Barely good enough to use. I tossed the core into my inner realm, turned around, and walked back toward the bunker. Behind me lay a field of broken, defeated enemies. Not a single one of them dared to even look up at me. I ended up collecting hundreds of cores from the battlefield. Most of them were low-level junk. But sheer quantity made up for it. As the massive wave of energy flooded into my inner realm, I could actually feel the space expanding. The origin power inside my body was growing so much thicker and stronger too. But the biggest surprise? As my strength leveled up, the 9 dragons pulling a coffin totem on my back grew even more solid. Out of the 9 crimson chains wrapped around that ancient black coffin, the first chain was actually starting to loosen. I closed my eyes, absorbing the cryptic information transmitting from the totem. The 9 dragons pulling a coffin wasn't just some basic suppression totem. Its true, terrifying power was devouring. Devouring beast cores, devouring the scattered remnants of enemy totems, devouring absolutely any energy it could convert, and then feeding that raw power right back to me. It reinforced my physical body and expanded my inner realm. This insane ability was called Coffin's Devouring Gluttony. The only problem was, that first chain hadn't snapped completely yet. To fully unlock the Coffin's Devouring, I needed a much higher grade core to act as a key. I'd need a beast core that was at least level 5. A level 5 crystal core, huh? I opened my eyes. A faint smirk crept onto my face. In my past life, shortly after the red moon descended, a level 5 beast king really did appear over the East Sea. The abyssal bone dragon. That monster almost wiped out all of Jiangzhou. But in this life, its crystal core is mine. Satisfied, I turned around and headed back into the bunker. The heavy doors slowly sealed shut, completely blocking out the slaughter outside. Xu Xiaodao rushed over to greet me, his eyes burning with fanaticism. Lie, bro, you're absolutely insane. Zhang Xinyi handed me a warm towel, her beautiful eyes sparkling with awe. You must be exhausted. The hot pot is still simmering. I wiped my hands and sank back onto the sofa, picking up a slice of Wagyu beef. Meanwhile, 500 meters underground in Jingdu's Supreme Military Command Center, the tension was suffocating. Report. Defense Line 3 in the Eastern Theater has collapsed. 3 level 4 mutant beasts have broken through the blockade. Report. A tsunami has struck the southern coast. We suspect a colossal deep-sea beast is making landfall. Report. The effectiveness of firearms against level 3 and above mutant beasts is dropping drastically. Our awakened units have suffered devastating casualties. Bad news slammed down like a heavy hammer, crushing everyone's spirits. The commander standing before the massive electronic sandbox closed his eyes in agony. He was the supreme commander of the Dragon Nation's military, Marshal Long. Only 3 days since the Red Moon descended, and humanity's proud modern civilization was already half destroyed. Even the military, when facing those terrifying, colossal mutant beasts, found themselves increasingly outmatched. Are we truly doomed? Just then, an intelligence monitor shot up from his seat. Commander, you need to see this. This footage was just transmitted from a high-altitude stealth drone. On the giant screen, the image rapidly zoomed in. It was a mountain fortress surrounded by titanium alloy walls. The forest had been torn apart by fire and craters, leaving a vast clearing. The ground was littered with vehicles and weapons left behind by the fleeing Azure Dragon Gang thugs. And right in the center of the footage, a shirtless young man stood alone on the mountain road outside the fortress. Right in front of him was a terrifying, 20-meter-long blood python as thick as a water tank. Its entire body was covered in dark red scales, and its massive reptilian eyes burned with madness. Its colossal body coiled through the forest, like a monster crawling straight out of the abyss. That's an S-class awakened in their beast form. Commander, should we deploy nearby troops for immediate backup? There's no time. It's way too far. By the time our men get there, the battle will already be over. But the very next second, the entire command center fell into a dead silence. On the screen, the young man's right leg suddenly erupted in a blinding golden light. A wild, untamed golden battle ape avatar manifested behind him with a massive shockwave. The massive avatar wore shining golden chainmail and a majestic purple gold crown with soaring phoenix wings. It wielded a long golden staff that seemed to crush the very air around it. Even through the drone's footage, everyone could feel a berserk, earth-shattering battle intent radiating from the screen. What kind of totem is that? The intelligence officer muttered. No one answered, because the battle on the screen had just reached its most mind-blowing climax. They watched the young man leap onto the blood python's head, gripping the phantom of the golden staff with both hands. Behind him, the golden battle ape avatar surged into massive proportions. 30 meters, it finally transformed into a terrifying giant, towering almost as high as a mountain. The very next second, the golden staff aimed right at the blood python's weak spot and smashed down viciously. Boom. Even through the screen, everyone could see the entire mountain forest violently shake. The ground cracked wide open, sending rubble blasting into the sky. That S-class blood python, whose defense couldn't even be pierced by heavy artillery, was brutally smashed deep into the ground with just a single strike. The python's massive body twitched violently, and then, it went completely dead. The entire command center fell dead silent. A good few seconds passed before someone finally gulped hard. A single strike, to kill an S-class beast. How is that even possible? Just what level of an awakened is this guy? We've got an ID on the target. It's Qin Lai, 22 years old, the former heir to the Qin Group in Jiangzhou City. 20 days before the Red Moon descended, he suddenly liquidated all his assets. He bought out the Blackstone base in the deep suburbs of Jiangzhou, and hoarded a massive amount of supplies. At the same time, he took 2 companions to the underground tattoo parlor, Ghost Axe, spending 7 straight days getting massive tattoos. And just 1 day before the Red Moon hit, he officially moved into the Blackstone base. The entire command center went dead silent once again. Everyone realized one terrifying detail. This kid, Qin Lai, it's like he knew the apocalypse was coming all along. Keep digging. Pull up the files on those 2 companions of his. Upgrade Qin Lai to a top-tier strategic target immediately. Dispatch a special envoy to Jiangzhou. The morning after we wiped out the Azure Dragon Gang, I was lounging in the bunker's heated pool, resting my eyes, digesting the massive energy from the crystal core in my body, when a piercing alarm shattered the peace once again. Brother Lai, looks like some more death wish idiots are knocking at our door. Xu Xiaodao rushed over to the edge of the pool, handing me the security tablet. Not too many this time, though. Only a few dozen of them. But the guy leading them looks like an old buddy of yours. I took the tablet. I glanced at the security feed, a cold smirk creeping up the corners of my mouth. On the screen, a few dozen ragged thugs armed with crude weapons were marching up the mountain path, closing in on the bunker. The guy leading the pack was covered in grime and looked half dead. But I still recognized him in a heartbeat. The son of Jiangzhou's richest man. My mortal enemy from my past life. Xu Rui. The day the Red Moon hit, he was live streaming from his downtown mansion. He got scared out of his mind by a mutated poodle. Who would have thought he'd actually survive the early days of the apocalypse, all thanks to that A-class 3-headed hellhound tattoo on his back? But these past few days, the city center had fully turned into a playground for mutated beasts. Even his hillside mansion got completely flattened. He managed to escape by using dozens of his own bodyguards as meat shields. Running for his life like a madman. He knew damn well that the only truly safe place left in all of Jiangzhou was my deep mountain bunker. So, he tracked me down like a rabid dog. Qin Lai, I know you're in there. Xu Rui stopped about 50 meters from the main gate, pointing straight at the camera with a hysterical, manic laugh. Ha ha ha, you think you're safe hiding in this damn turtle shell? I've awakened the power of the hellhound. I'm a powerhouse now. Today, I'm gonna smash your damn door to pieces. And take every last bit of your supplies. Watching this spoiled brat screaming at the screen, I stood up from the pool, casually grabbing a towel to dry myself off. An A-class totem inflated his ego this much? Boss lie. I'll go finish him off. No need. The grudges of my past life. I'm going to end them with my own hands. Open the door. The heavy titanium door slowly opens. I step out of the fallout shelter, all by myself. Chin Lai, you finally dare to show your face. You really think you can rob my supplies with just these few dozen pieces of trash you brought along? I glance at the thugs behind him, trembling so hard their knees are buckling, my face full of utter disgust. To deal with you, just me is more than enough. Chin Lai, look who I brought just for you. The crowd slowly parts. From the thick black mist, a graceful figure slowly steps out. She's wearing a blood-stained red dress, her skin ghastly pale. Her features are still as delicate as ever, but her eyes have taken on a bizarre, demonic crimson glow. On her exposed waist, a blood-red spider lily tattoo is slowly blooming. Translucent red petals materialize behind her, and an intense floral scent fills the air. It's so alluring that it makes my scalp tingle. Zhao Yuqing, she actually didn't die, and not only did she survive, she even awakened an A-class totem, the underworld spider lily. The thugs around her stare, their eyes gradually becoming glazed and empty. Some even drop to their knees, crawling towards her like soulless husks. Zhao Yuqing gently raises her hand. A blood-red flower vine droops from her fingertips, wrapping around the neck of one of the thugs. The thug doesn't even struggle. Instead, he flashes a totally obsessed smile. The very next second, his face rapidly turns ashen gray, his whole body looking as if all the life has been drained out of it. A spider lily slowly blooms right out of his chest. Zhao Yuqing narrows her eyes in pure comfort. Her pale face regains a bit of a rosy flush. Chin Lai, didn't expect this, did you? I awakened too. Shu Rui stands behind her, his face plastered with a sinister sneer. Chin Lai, weren't you acting so tough? Zhao Yuqing is now an A-class mental type awakener. The scent of her spider lilies can control over a dozen awakeners at once. I really want to see if you can still bring yourself to kill the woman you once loved. Zhao Yuqing chuckles softly, slowly walking towards me. With every step she takes, a blood-red spider lily blooms right beneath her feet. The floral scent in the air gets overwhelmingly thick. In a sudden trance, the surrounding black mist clears away and the world right before my eyes changes completely. I'm back in my past life again. The beast horde is surging all around. A blood moon hangs high in the sky. I am completely covered in blood, collapsed deep in the ruins. The mutated three-headed hound is closing in on me, step by step. Zhao Yuqing is kneeling right beside me, crying her eyes out. Chin Lai, I was so wrong. I never should have left you in our past life. I shouldn't have trusted Shu Rui. If we could just start over, I would definitely stay right by your side. She reaches out her hand, trying to touch my face, her voice so gentle, carrying such heartbreaking memories. Chin Lai, please, forgive me? I just watched her in silence. A second later, I let out a laugh. Zhao Yuqing, your illusion is way too fake. The crying, kneeling Zhao Yuqing before me froze. I took a step forward, and the phantom of 9 dragons hauling a coffin violently erupted behind me. 9 pitch-black dragon shadows simultaneously snapped open their crimson eyes. The ancient black coffin hovered right behind my back. The scarlet chains on the coffin trembled slightly, and a terrifying, forbidden pressure crashed down from the sky. The surrounding ruins, the beast tide, the blood moon, the weeping Zhao Yuqing. Reality suddenly snapped back. Zhao Yuqing's face turned deathly pale. She stumbled backward, a trickle of blood spilling from the corner of her mouth. The spider lily phantom behind her trembled violently, its petals withering away one by one. Impossible. She stared at me in absolute shock. That's impossible. My netherworld fragrance draws out a person's deepest obsession. How could it not affect you at all? Obsession? You think you're worthy of being my obsession? All the color drained from Zhao Yuqing's face instantly. Those words hit harder than any physical attack. She bit her lip, panic flashing in her eyes. No, Chin Lai, you used to love me. I know you did. You're just still angry with me, right? She suddenly switched her expression, tears welling up in her eyes. She looked at me pitifully. I admit I made a mistake before, but I didn't know the apocalypse was coming. I thought you'd actually gone crazy. Chin Lai, just let me into the bunker. I'll come back to you. I'm an A- rank awakened now. I can help you. I can help you control all those survivors. I'm useful to you, Zhao Yuqing. You lying bitch. Just a second ago you said you'd help me kill him. Zhao Yuqing whipped her head around and shrieked. Shu Rui, shut your damn mouth. If you hadn't humiliated Chin Lai on that livestream, if you hadn't dragged me along to make a joke out of him, how else would I have ended up like this? And when you ran for your life, did you even look back at me once? What right do you have to judge me? Shu Rui was trembling with absolute rage. I watched the two of them tearing at each other's throats, and felt absolutely nothing. To think that in my past life, I was actually killed by these two pieces of trash. Pathetic. Chin Lai, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong now. Just give me one more chance, please? She reached out, trying to grab my wrist. But before she could even touch me, an invisible wave of pressure blasted her away. I stared down at her from above, my voice dead calm. You're not sorry. You just realized that Shu Rui can't protect you anymore, and that I'm stronger than him. Zhao Yuqing's body jolted, the tears in her eyes completely freezing over. I raised my right hand, and the phantom of the black coffin behind me slowly creaked open. A pitch-black chain slithered out from the dark void, instantly wrapping around the spider lily totem on her waist. Spider lilies are beautiful when they bloom, but it's a shame yours bloomed in the wrong place. As soon as the words left my mouth, the coffin's chain violently ripped tight. Zhao Yuqing let out an agonizing scream as the crimson sea of flowers behind her collapsed with a deafening crash. Countless phantom spider lilies withered in the air. The totem power within her was forcibly suppressed by the 9 dragons pulling a coffin. Her eerie red eyes quickly faded back to normal. She slumped to the ground, looking as if every ounce of strength had been drained from her body. My power. Chin Lai. You sealed my powers. She stared up at me, her face twisted in utter despair. You might as well just kill me. Kill you? You aren't even worth a second strike. Shu Rui glared down at the powerless Zhao Yuqing. There wasn't a single shred of pity in his eyes, only pure, venomous resentment. You useless bitch, you couldn't even seduce one damn man. Zhao Yuqing stared at him in utter disbelief. Shu Rui, what did you just say? Shu Rui viciously stomped the ground right next to her. He roared, if it wasn't for you, you miserable jinx. Would I have ended up like this? The very last spark of hope in Zhao Yuqing's eyes shattered completely. I watched the whole scene unfold, feeling nothing but profound boredom. The apocalypse never truly changes a person. It only digs up the filthiest, darkest parts of their soul a little sooner. I slowly turned my gaze to Shu Rui. The freak show is over. Now, it's time to settle our score. The arrogant smirk on Shu Rui's face completely vanished, replaced by a raw, undeniable terror. He had finally realized that his precious, rank A hellhound was absolutely nothing in front of me. Impossible. I am a rank A awakener. I am completely invincible. Shu Rui was spiraling into pure madness. He threw his head back and let out a feral, beastly roar as the clothes on his back instantly shredded to pieces. The phantom of a 3-headed hellhound, over 5 meters long and wreathed in dark, sinister flames, materialized behind him. Shu Rui's own body expanded violently, his muscles bulging and twisting out of proportion. His hands morphed into razor-sharp wolf claws as he lunged madly at me, trailing a suffocating stench of sulfur. Drop dead, the middle head of the hellhound unhinged its massive jaws, spewing out a scorching blast of black fire. Yet, facing this seemingly devastating attack, I didn't even bother to dodge. Rank A? Please. You're worse than a stray mutt. I took a long, deep breath. The terrifying vitality surging within me, refined by my origin power, roared and crashed through my veins like a raging river. I didn't activate a single Dharma totem, relying on absolutely nothing but raw, pure physical strength. I pulled my right fist back sharply, and then, like a cannonball firing from a barrel, I launched a devastating punch straight into the black flames. Boom! The terrifying force of my punch tore the black flames cleanly in half. My fist slammed directly, without any flashy tricks, right into Shu Rui's prized wolf claws. A sickening, bone-crunching snap echoed through the air as Shu Rui's right arm shattered instantly. The sheer, unstoppable momentum carried right through, slamming brutally into his chest. Ugh! Shu Rui vomited a massive spray of blood. His massive body was sent flying backward like a kite with a snapped string, crashing violently onto the hard ground. Impossible. He didn't even use a Dharma totem. How could he be this strong? Shu Rui wheezed, clutching his completely caved-in chest. His eyes finally betrayed a profound, paralyzing fear. It's just because you are pathetically weak. I took my time, stepping right up to him, and looked down at his broken form. Chin Lai, young Master Chin, I was wrong. Please, just spare my life. I stared down at him, my eyes completely cold and indifferent. In my past life, you threw me to the monster horde. In this life, I won't push you into it. A glimmer of hope flashed in Shu Rui's eyes. Because that would be letting you off too easy. I slowly raised my hand, and behind me, the phantom of 9 dragons pulling a coffin materialized. The black coffin opened slightly, and a pitch-black chain shot out, instantly piercing the 3-headed hellhound totem on Shu Rui's back. He let out a blood-curdling scream. The 3-headed hellhound totem on his back struggled frantically, but was ruthlessly suppressed by 9 black dragons. A crack appeared on the totem's surface, and the aura of Shu Rui's ability faded like a receding tide. His body rapidly shrank back to its original shape, reverting into a scarred and battered. Powerless, ordinary man, my power. Chin Lai, give me back my power. Didn't you love acting like a dog? From today onward. You're worse than a dog. The thugs watched the powerless Shu Rui, their eyes gradually changing. In the apocalypse, the weak have no dignity. Not to mention, along the way, Shu Rui had used countless people as bait just to survive. Now, karma had finally caught up to him. Screams soon rang out. I didn't look back. A short while later, Shu Rui's voice completely vanished. Only a dim, Tier 1 crystal core was left on the ground. I casually tossed it into my soul dimension, the mortal enemy who had pushed me into the monster horde in my past life. Didn't even have the right to make me use my full strength in this life. Right at that moment, a deafening roar suddenly echoed from the sky. Whir, howling winds scattered the surrounding black mist. I looked up to see 3 dark green military gunships hovering above the air raid shelter. The helicopters slowly descended and their cabin doors opened. 2 squads of heavily armed special forces rapidly jumped out, forming lines on both sides to secure the perimeter. Immediately after, a high-ranking commander, flanked by several guards, stepped forward briskly. Greetings, Mr. Chin. I am Lei Zan, Deputy Commander of the Eastern Theater Command. Under the orders of the Supreme Commander, I've come specifically to visit you. You've worked hard, Commander Lei. With mutated beasts running rampant outside right now, the fact that you managed to find this place shows that the command center is still doing its absolute best to maintain order. Hearing this, a hint of surprise flashed in Lei Zan's eyes. He originally thought an awakened with terrifying strength like mine would show some level of contempt toward the military, but I knew very well. In the apocalypse, the military was the ultimate shield for ordinary people. If they didn't hold the front line, Jiangzhou would only collapse that much faster. Lei Zan took a deep breath. Mr. Chin, we saw the drone footage of you slaying the S-rank bloodbeast. Your strength far exceeds the awakened system currently recorded by the command center. The Supreme Commander wishes to establish the highest level of wartime cooperation with you. We will not force you to enlist, nor will we demand that you hand over Blackstone Base. We only hope that when the Dragon Nation faces a major catastrophe, you can lend a helping hand within your capabilities. Deal. Lei Zan's eyes lit up. I continued, however, I'm used to operating alone. I'm not suited for the conventional chain of command. Blackstone Base can serve as an independent cooperative stronghold. The military will handle maintaining order and evacuating survivors, as well as establishing defense lines. I'll be in charge of providing specific intel and slaying high-tier mutated beasts when necessary. Both sides will share resources and share intel. That's the most efficient way. I will relay your exact words to the Supreme Commander, Mr. Chin. Since we are working together, I'll give you a piece of intel first. At 2 a.m., in 3 days, the East Sea will suffer its first massive wave of marine beasts. A level 5 abyssal bone dragon will lead 100,000 sea monsters onto the shores of Jiangzhou City. If you don't set up a heavy firepower defense line in advance, Jiangzhou City and even the entire Eastern Theater Command will be completely devastated. What? Lei Zan's face dropped, cold sweat instantly soaking his back. He stared at me dead in the eye, searching my face for any sign that I was joking. But all he saw was absolute calmness. Mr. Chin, is this intel reliable? I wouldn't joke about the lives of 3 million people. Lei Zan took a deep breath. I will report this to the Supreme Commander immediately and mobilize the entire Eastern Theater Command for defense. Also, I need a batch of heavy military equipment, high-precision machine tools, special alloy materials, 10 sets of warship-grade fully automated close-in weapon systems, and a supply of man-portable thermobaric weapons. I'm not asking for these for free. In exchange, any future intel regarding high-level beasts, I will share with the military first. These are strategic supplies. I'll need to ask Marshal Long for permission. But personally, I think this deal is absolutely worth it. That works. Mr. Chin, thank you for your willingness to cooperate. The military holds the line for humanity. And I'll take care of the monsters you guys can't handle right now. To each their own duty. Mr. Chin, I'll be sure to pass that message along to the Supreme Commander. Watching Lei Zan's retreating figure as he hurriedly boarded the chopper, my gaze deepened. A level 5 Beast King. That is exactly the key I need to unlock the first chain of the 9 dragons coffin. I am definitely getting that abyssal bone dragon's crystal core. 3 days flashed by in the blink of an eye. During these 3 days, the military indeed kept their word. Several heavy transport helicopters delivered some of the special machine tools, close-in weapon systems, and thermobaric weapons I requested, dropping them off one by one outside the bunker. Looking at the massive claw marks left on the chopper's hulls, I knew that to escort these supplies through beast-infested airspace, the military probably lost quite a few ace pilots. As for the remaining strategic supplies, Lei Zan also sent word that they would be transported in batches. I didn't rush them. Right now, everywhere outside is a war zone. Managing to deliver the first batch proves the military is very sincere. I stored all these supplies into my dimensional inventory. The bunker's defense level has been upgraded once again. At 2 a.m., on the fourth day, I was sitting in the spacious leather chair in the surveillance room, holding a piping hot cup of black coffee. Boss Lai, there's a heavy storm outside. And, why is the rainwater black? Shu Xiaodao stared at the screens, his eyebrows locked tightly together. I took a sip of my coffee, my eyes turning deep and serious. It's starting. At almost that exact same moment, on the eastern coastal defense line of Jiangzhou City, Lei Zan stood inside the temporary command post. He stared fixedly at the radar screen, where densely packed red dots were surging forward like a tsunami. Cold sweat poured frantically down his cheeks. Qin Lai's intel was right. The East Sea beasts have made landfall. Open fire across the entire line. We absolutely cannot let them breach the city limits. Right behind us are 3 million survivors. The heavy artillery positions instantly erupted with a deafening roar. Countless artillery shells, dragging long trails of fire, slammed into the coastline, illuminating the pitch-black sky as bright as day. However, the moment the flares went up, all the frontline soldiers fell into absolute despair. Out on the ocean, hundreds of thousands of mutated sea beasts were surging through the waves. There were giant mutated crabs the size of armored vehicles, amphibious fish men covered in venomous stingers, and lightning-fast swarms of sea snakes charging madly straight through the artillery fire. In less than 10 minutes of heavy fighting, the first line of defense was completely ripped to shreds. Commander Lei, we can't hold them back. There are too many of these monsters. Our entire defensive line is collapsing. Lei Zan drew the pistol from his waist, his eyes burning blood red. Notify the entire army. Even if every single one of us dies in battle today, we must protect the civilians to our very last breath. Boom. Just as the military braced for one final, desperate stand, the earth began to tremble violently. An unspeakable, terrifying wave of pressure suddenly swept in from the depths of the ocean. Inside Jiangzhou City, the 3 million survivors hiding in the ruins and basements suddenly felt a crushing agony in their chests, as if a massive mountain was pressing down directly on their hearts. Even breathing became almost impossible. What the hell is that thing? Lei Zan stared up at the distant night sky in utter despair. He watched as the thick black fog was violently ripped apart by a pair of massive, skeletal wings. A terrifying bone dragon, over 100 meters long and wreathed in the ghostly mist of the deep sea, slowly descended from the storm clouds. Its eyes burned like two massive, blood-red lanterns, radiating a freezing aura of pure death. A level 5 beast king. The abyssal bone dragon. In the early days of the apocalypse, a level 5 mutated beast was the absolute definition of invincible. It was an apocalyptic walking disaster, capable of wiping out an entire city with ease. Roar. The abyssal bone dragon unleashed a heaven-shattering roar. It opened its cavernous, abyss-like jaws, and a torrent of pitch-black dragon breath erupted. It slammed directly into the military's heavy artillery formation. The black flames instantly swallowed everything within a 1,000-meter radius. The heavy artillery defenses were completely wiped out. It's over. Jiangzhou is finished. Pure despair spread like a plague through the entirety of Jiangzhou City. Countless people simply closed their eyes, waiting for death to claim them. But right at that very moment, deep inside the black stone bunker, I slowly set down my coffee cup. On the monitor screen, that 100-meter bone dragon was flexing its terrifying power in the dark fog. But there wasn't a single trace of fear in my eyes. Instead, they burned with a wild, fiery excitement. Shu Xiaodao's face went completely pale. Boss Lai, are you going out there? That thing is a level 5 beast king. Zhang Xinyi also grabbed my arm tightly. There's no need to take such a crazy risk. I gently patted the back of Zhang Xinyi's hand. A wildly arrogant smirk curled onto my lips. My 9 dragons coffin is still missing one final key, and I've got my eye on that overgrown lizard's crystal core. I turned and walked straight toward the elevator. Keep an eye on the base for me. Oh, and brew me a cup of tea while you're at it. I'll be back before it even cools down. Up in the sky above Jiangzhou City, the abyssal bone dragon was ruthlessly spewing black dragon breath, utterly obliterating the defensive lines. Lei Zan tightly closed his eyes, waiting for death to finally take him. Vwum, right at that very second, a pillar of pitch-black light blasted high into the sky from the deep mountains outside Jiangzhou. The black light wasn't cold or sinister, but rather, it carried an indescribable feeling of ancient and absolute majesty. The dense black fog of the monster was violently ripped to shreds. What the hell is that? Lei Zan's eyes snapped wide open. The entire city's 3 million survivors, along with every remaining soldier, all subconsciously turned their heads, staring dead straight at the black stone bunker. Under the gaze of millions, a tall and slender young man followed the black and gold pillar of light. Stepping higher into the sky, step by step. He wasn't using any flying gear at all, just walking on thin air. It was as if an invisible staircase lay beneath his feet. It's Mr. Chin. It's Chin Lai. Lei Zan was trembling uncontrollably with pure excitement. As I kept ascending, the 9 dragons pulling a coffin totem on my back fully unleashed. 9 pitch-black dragon phantoms coiled across the heavens. Their massive bodies stretched for hundreds of meters, and their glowing red eyes snapped open all at once. They were dragging an ancient, pitch-black coffin, dominating the skies right above Jiangzhou City. The blood-red chains wrapped around the coffin began to rattle. A surge of supreme, ancient and absolutely untouchable taboo aura swept across all of Jiangzhou like a massive tsunami. Crushed by this overwhelming pressure, the 100,000 mutated sea beasts swarming below instantly let out terrified, desperate wails. They slammed into the ground in unison, trembling in sheer terror. It's Mr. Chin from the Blackstone base. He's here to save Jiangzhou. Countless survivors lifted their heads from the rubble, their eyes filled with absolute awe and the shock of surviving. I stood 1,000 meters up in the air, facing off against that 100-meter-long sea-devouring bone dragon. Compared to its colossal body, I looked as tiny as an ant, but the 9 dragons pulling a coffin behind me felt far more like an ancient nightmare than the beast itself. Sensing the deadly threat, the bone dragon locked its glowing red eyes dead on me and let out an earth-shattering roar. It snapped open its cavernous jaws, unleashing a blast of black dragon breath 10 times bigger than before. Hurtling right at me like a crashing meteor. Pathetic trick. The Pangu totem on my chest erupted with an absolute thirst for battle. Cosmic avatar. Boom. The massive phantom of Pangu materialized right behind me. As that black dragon breath roared toward me, I didn't even bother to dodge. I slowly raised my right fist, and the Pangu avatar on my chest let out a deep, thunderous boom. A wisp of pure heaven-cleaving power wrapped tightly around my knuckles. The very next second, I stepped forward. Boom. The exact second my fist smashed into the black fire, the entire sky looked like it had been ripped wide open. The tyrannical heaven-cleaving power forcefully tore straight through the black flames, splitting them into 2 massive waves of fire. They roared violently past both sides of my body, crashing hard into the ruins below. The impact scorched 2 massive, 1,000-meter-long trenches into the earth. Meanwhile, I stood perfectly still between the 2 seas of fire, not moving a single inch. The giant Pangu phantom behind me slowly raised its head, too. Its outline, which had been a bit blurry before, suddenly became incredibly solid and real. A dark gold divine light surged from the Pangu tattoo on my chest, flowing straight into the giant phantom behind me. You overgrown lizard, it's my turn now. As soon as I said that, the Pangu tattoo on my chest unleashed its full power. The towering Pangu avatar behind me exploded in size, shooting up to dozens of meters tall. Its muscles bulged with explosive strength, giving off an impossibly vast and ancient aura. Looking like an ancient titan stepping right out of the edge of chaos. And right there, in its massive palm, a giant axe, forged purely from heaven-cleaving power, slowly materialized into reality. Dark gold divine runes lit up inch by inch across the axe blade. I slowly raised my right hand, and the mighty Pangu avatar behind me raised its giant axe in perfect sync. The man and the phantom. Our movements were flawlessly identical. The sea-devouring bone dragon must have sensed death creeping in. Sheer terror finally flashed in its glowing red eyes. It flapped its skeletal wings frantically, desperate to put some distance between us. But the very second it was locked on by the Pangu avatar, the black mist around it seemed to freeze solid. I took a single step forward. My voice boomed like thunder. Pangu splits the heavens. I slashed my right hand down fiercely, and in that exact moment, the Pangu avatar behind me swung its massive heaven-cleaving axe. Boom! A dark gold axe blade hundreds of meters long tore right through the black mist, looking as if it would slice the entire night sky in half. The abyssal bone dragon flapped its wings frantically, but it was already too late. The glowing axe struck violently against its seemingly indestructible skeletal wings. Those massive bone wings shattered instantly, and the abyssal bone dragon let out a deafening, agonizing shriek. Its colossal body completely lost balance, plummeting toward the ground like a falling meteorite. I didn't give it a single second to breathe. Stomping the air, my entire body turned into a streak of dark gold light, appearing right above the abyssal bone dragon in the blink of an eye. The Pangu avatar behind me moved in perfect sync. I clenched my fingers into a fist, while the Pangu avatar gripped the heaven-cleaving axe with both hands, raising it high into the air. The abyssal bone dragon struggled to lift its head, its crimson eyes overflowing with absolute terror. My voice was ice-cold. Shatter. I slammed my fist down, and the massive heaven-cleaving axe in the hands of the Pangu avatar viciously hacked down right along with it. The massive axe struck dead center on the dragon's skull. A terrifying heaven-splitting power surged madly through its hard bone and straight into its body. The earth shook violently. In the outskirts of Jiangzhou City, a massive crater dozens of meters deep was blasted wide open, sending clouds of shattered rock shooting into the sky. The dragon's massive body was brutally embedded into the bottom of the crater, and the light in its crimson eyes rapidly faded away. The Pangu avatar behind me slowly withdrew, its dark gold divine light scattering away bit by bit. I stood by the edge of the crater, the lingering light from the Pangu tattoo on my chest yet to fade. Tier 5 Overlord, Abyssal Bone Dragon, dead. The battle ended so fast. So fast that absolutely no one had time to react. From the moment I took to the sky, to transforming into a 100-meter giant to slay the dragon. The entire process took less than 3 minutes. The black mist dispersed, and the crimson moonlight once again spilled across the earth. I deactivated my cosmic form, my body shrinking back to its normal size as I landed firmly on top of the dragon's massive skull. Forming a blade with my fingers, I sliced right through its skull and dug out a crystal core. As big as a basketball, radiating a dense dark gold light. Feeling the vast, ocean-like energy inside this Tier 5 core, I stored it away in my personal dimension with satisfaction. Right ahead, the 100,000 sea monsters completely broke down after losing their Beast King. They retreated back into the sea like a receding tide. Jiangzhou City was saved. Mr. Qin. Thank you, Mr. Qin, for saving the 3 million citizens of Jiangzhou. A tsunami of gratitude echoed through the night sky. Standing on the bone dragon's skull, holding that dark gold Tier 5 crystal core in my hand, I didn't bask in their thanks. I simply looked at Lei Zan and calmly said, "There is no need for this." If the military hadn't held off the monster tide on the front lines last night, Jiangzhou might not have lasted until I stepped in. Lei Zan was stunned for a moment. I continued, "I didn't win this battle all by myself. Those soldiers who died fighting on the front lines, they saved the city too." Lei Zan's eyes grew slightly red, and many military officers behind him lowered their heads. I tucked the crystal core away into my personal dimension. Next up, evacuate the survivors as quickly as possible, and repair the defense lines. The sea monsters retreating is only temporary. The real disaster is still yet to come. Please rest assured, Mr. Qin. The forces of order will absolutely secure Jiangzhou. If any beasts Tier 5 or above appear again, notify me immediately. I will handle the high-tier beasts. With that said, I didn't stick around. A flash of black and gold light erupted from my back. I turned into a streak of light and flew straight back to the Blackstone shelter, the heavy doors slamming shut behind me. Back in the control room, I picked up my teacup from the desk and took a sip. The tea was still warm. Down in the absolute lowest level of the Blackstone shelter, inside the core chamber, I sat cross-legged on a custom meditation mat. In my palm rested the level 5 Abyssal Bone Dragon core, pulsing with dark golden light. The energy packed inside this thing was easily 100 times stronger than that S-rank Blood Python core from before. Even the military's top awakened would pop like a balloon instantly if they dared to swallow this straight down. But I'm different. Without a second thought, I slammed the core right into my chest. I pushed my origin power to the absolute limit. Boom! An incredibly violent, freezing black energy crashed into my veins and bones like a shattered dam. Black frost formed on my skin, and my bones started creaking under the massive, crushing pressure. Trying to consume me? A dead oversized lizard like you doesn't even have the right. I let out a cold scoff. On my chest, the Pangu avatar violently snapped its eyes open. The absolute, unstoppable power of creation instantly forced the dark energy down, completely crushing it. It was then purified into raw origin power, wildly surging back to strengthen my physical body. At the exact same time, the 9 dragons pulling a coffin totem on my back started burning hot. It felt like the 9 black dragons were slowly slithering right beneath my skin. And on that ancient black coffin, the first crimson chain began to shake violently. A faint cracking sound echoed deep within my soul. And just like that, the first crimson chain shattered. An indescribable rush of black and gold energy poured out from the coffin. An endless void of darkness seemed to appear right in front of my eyes. In the deepest part of that dark abyss, that ancient black coffin slowly creaked open just a crack. A flood of ancient, mysterious knowledge poured into my mind. 9 dragons pulling a coffin, first lock, opened. New ability, Coffin Devour. From this exact moment onward, I could actively devour beast cores, the leftover energy from dead monsters, and even parts of the source power from suppressed totems. All of this energy would be refined by the black coffin. It would feed straight back into my body, my bound space, and the 4 great forbidden totems. In other words, as long as I had enough prey to hunt, I would only get stronger the more I fought. As the Abyssal Bone Dragon's core was completely refined, my physical strength naturally leveled up, breaking right through to the peak of level 5. My bound space expanded once again. At the very edge of the already massive area, an area as pitch black as ink completely materialized. It looked like a massive projection of the black coffin itself, completely dead silent, and terrifyingly deep. I had this gut feeling, once the rest of the chains on the coffin were finally broken, this dark zone was going to become something way more terrifying than the bound space itself. I slowly opened my eyes, my entire skeletal frame cracking with the sound of roaring thunder. Coffin devour. Hey, not bad at all. From now on, every single monster out there is nothing but fuel for my growth. Early the next morning, down in the underground training arena of the Blackstone base, I sat cross-legged on the metal floor and slowly opened my eyes. After absorbing the bone dragon's core, the life force surging through my veins was several times more powerful than before. The coffin devour ability had fully fused with my body. Starting today, ordinary cores were giving me less and less of a boost. If I wanted to keep getting stronger, I had to hunt higher tier monsters. They needed to be at least level 4 or higher. Shu Xiaodao walked in, his eyes burning with an eager itch to fight. Brother Lai, last night you soloed a level 5 bone dragon. Xin Yi and I barely lifted a finger. If this keeps up, we're seriously gonna become a drag. Zhang Xin Yi also walked over from the other side. She had changed into a black combat suit, her long hair tied up high. Her cold eyes showed a rare fighting spirit. I need real combat too. Just grinding levels with crystal cores won't give us true power. I looked at them and nodded. That's exactly what I was thinking. Shu Xiaodao's true lord Erlang and Neza are both top-tier combat totems. Zhang Xinyi's goddess of the 9 heavens is an even more advanced avatar, balancing offense, defense, and battlefield control. Their potential is massive, but in the apocalypse, potential doesn't equal combat power. True powerhouses are forged by slaughtering their way through mountains of mutant beast corpses. I stood up. Then let's head out. Shu Xiaodao's eyes lit up. Where to? I brought up the military's shared map of the Zhangzhou outskirts. The screen was swarming with red dots, scattered across the city ruins and suburban forests. Among them, an industrial park in the southern suburbs of Zhangzhou glowed with the most blinding red light. It was marked by the military as a high-risk zone, suspected to be a level 4 mutant beast nest. I pointed at the area. The southern suburbs industrial park. After the sea beast tide retreated last night, a horde of mutant beasts took it over. Military recon drones caught footage of at least 3 level 4 mutant beasts inside, along with a massive swarm of level 2s and 3s. Shu Xiaodao grinned. What a sweet spot. Lots of monsters means lots of XP. Zhang Xinyi glanced at the map and said coldly, the southern suburbs industrial park isn't far from the North District military camp. If the mutant beasts there keep spreading, they'll eventually threaten the survivor evacuation routes. So, this trip kills 2 birds with 1 stone. We can conveniently wipe out a hidden threat for the military. I dialed Lei Zhan's comms. The screen quickly lit up, and Lei Zhan appeared on the feed. He looked noticeably more relaxed than last night, though his eyes still carried deep exhaustion. Mr. Qin, is there anything the military can help you with? I cut straight to the chase. The Zhangzhou southern suburbs industrial park. I'm heading over to clear it out. There's a level 4 mutant beast nest there. Lei Zhan paused for a second, then his face lit up with joy. Mr. Qin, that's exactly the area we were about to request backup for. There are massive chemical warehouses in the southern suburbs industrial park. If they get wrecked by the mutant beasts, the toxic gas leak will hit the North District camp. If you're willing to step in, the military can immediately provide real-time drone recon and lock down the area. Sounds good. You guys handle the perimeter lockdown. Don't interfere with the inside. I'm taking Xiaodao and Xin Yi in for some practice. Understood. The military will set up a quarantine line on the outside to stop any mutant beasts from escaping. Mr. Qin, please be incredibly careful. They're the ones who should be careful. 10 minutes later, the side gate of the Blackstone base slowly opened. A modified black heavy-duty SUV drove out of the underground garage, its body covered in bulletproof armor. The outer tires were fitted with alloy anti-slip grips, and an automated machine gun was mounted on the roof. Shu Xiaodao sat in the passenger seat, rubbing his hands together in pure excitement. Zhang Xinyi sat in the back, the phantom projection of her profound heaven divine sword flickering faintly in her hand. I slid into the driver's seat and slammed the gas. The engine let out a beastly roar as the black SUV tore out of Blackstone base. We headed straight south along the mountain road, the black mist still lingering along the way. The highway was lined with abandoned cars, chewed to pieces by mutated beasts. Every now and then, a few low-level ones would lunge at us. But before they could even get close, the automated roof turret turned them into Swiss cheese. Half an hour later, the South Suburb Industrial Park came into view. What used to be a brightly lit, modern complex had completely turned into a monster's nest. The factories had collapsed, and the pipes were all twisted and mangled. A pungent chemical stench filled the air. Shu Xiaodao pushed open the door and hopped out. Brother Lai, what's the plan? I looked deep into the industrial park. There were 3 distinct auras, way stronger than the rest of the pack. 2 level 4 mutated ironclad lizards, and 1 level 4 poison mist spider queen. On top of that, there were over 100 level 2 and 3 beasts. To me right now, these things were absolutely nothing. But for Shu Xiaodao and Zhang Xinyi, they were the perfect whetstones for some real combat experience. I raised my hand and gave it a wave. The 9 dragons pulling the coffin tattoo on my back vibrated slightly, and an invisible pressure blanketed the entire industrial park. The low-level beasts instantly slowed down, like they had a mountain pressing on their backs. But I didn't just crush them to death. Instead, I kept the pressure just right, enough to slow the horde. Without affecting Shu Xiaodao and Zhang Xinyi's fighting, I'm not stepping in, I told them, glancing their way. You clear out the level 2 and 3 beasts yourselves. I'll only hold the line against the level 4 ones. Unless you're about to die, I won't lift a finger. Shu Xiaodao flashed a big grin. Music to my ears. As soon as he spoke, the Erlang god totem on his right arm suddenly flared up. The phantom of a divine general in full armor, wielding a blade, slowly faded in behind him. Heaven's eye, pierce the illusion. A golden light flashed right between Shu Xiaodao's brows. The phantom of a vertical pupil slowly opened. In a flash, the whole world became crystal clear to him. The movement paths of the 2 mutated ironclad lizards, the gaps in their scales, the twitch of their muscles and the weak spots on their bellies. His heaven's eye caught every single detail. Found your weak spots. He gripped his 3-pointed, double-edged blade tight and stomped the ground hard. Spiderweb cracks exploded across the concrete as he shot forward like an arrow from a bow. In a blink, he closed in on the side of the first ironclad lizard, raising his blade high. Golden light exploded from the edge of the blade. Divine armor breaker. The blade came crashing down. Clang. A deafening shriek of clashing metal rang out. Shu Xiaodao's face dropped. Even though the strike had landed dead center in the gap of the lizard's back scales, it didn't slice through its defense like he thought it would. The beast's scales were way thicker than he expected. The blade only bit in half an inch, before getting wedged tight in the rock-hard bone armor. Oh, crap. The first ironclad lizard suddenly whipped around, its massive tail sweeping toward him with a howling gust of wind. With no time to pull his weapon free, Shu Xiaodao had to let go and jump back. Wham! The massive tail barely grazed his chest as it swiped past. But even that glancing blow was enough to send him flying backward through the air. He crashed hard into an abandoned fuel truck, caving in the metal tank with a loud bang. Shu Xiaodao let out a muffled groan, a trickle of blood spilling from the corner of his mouth. Damn, this thing's built like a tank. I stayed back, just watching it play out without making a move. Zhang Xinyi instinctively looked at me, chin Lai. I said calmly, he's not gonna die. Let him handle it. Shu Xiaodao jumped up from the smashed tanker truck. He wiped the blood from his mouth, the thrill in his eyes burning even brighter. Alright, that packs a punch. The iron-scaled lizard let out a low growl, its 4 legs exploding with power. Its massive body charged in like a tank, while the other iron-scaled lizard flanked him from the side, trying to cut off his escape. 2 level 4 mutant beasts cornering him from front and back. Shu Xiaodao stood his ground. He didn't rush in blindly this time. The golden light from the third eye on his forehead blazed brighter, and the world seemed to slow down before him. Every step the lizard took, every shift of its scales, every twitch of its muscles was captured crystal clear by his heavenly eye. The first iron-scaled lizard lunged at him, its giant jaws snapping open. A wave of bloody stench hit his face. Shu Xiaodao threw his body backward. He dodged the bite by a hair's breadth. At the exact same moment, he planted his right foot, sliding right beneath the beast's jaw and slipping into the shadow of its belly. Heavenly eye, locked. The third soft scale on its underside, right where its heart is. Divine manifestation. Shu Xiaodao roared. Behind him, the phantom of Lord Erlang swung its weapon in perfect sync. The 3-pointed, double-edged blade thrust upward. Squelch. The blade finally pierced the soft scale, brutally skewering the beast's belly. The lizard let out a blood-curdling shriek, its colossal body thrashing wildly. Veins popped on Shu Xiaodao's arms as he gripped the hilt and violently ripped it upward. Split wide open. Rip. A massive gash was torn open across the first lizard's belly, and its gigantic body crashed to the ground. But before Shu Xiaodao could catch his breath, the second lizard charged from behind. It didn't go straight for him. Instead, it swerved, and slammed brutally into the half-collapsed chemical tank nearby. Zhang Xinyi's face changed. It's trying to blow up the tank. If that thing explodes, toxic gas will instantly flood the whole industrial park. Shu Xiaodao snapped his head up. The golden light on his forehead flared wildly. Trying to run? You're staying right here. He gripped his blade with both hands, and plunged it fiercely into the dirt. The phantom of Lord Erlang suddenly solidified behind him. A golden third eye snapped open on the phantom's forehead too. The two golden beams crossed in midair, instantly locking onto the second iron-scaled lizard. Heavenly Eye, Soul Lock. The beast's massive body violently stiffened, as if nailed to the ground by invisible chains. It struggled madly, its four claws tearing deep trenches into the earth. But it couldn't break free from that golden lock. Shu Xiaodao's face quickly drained of color. This move was taking a massive toll on him, but the look in his eyes was terrifyingly thrilled. He slowly raised his head and grinned. This strike sends you to hell. Boom, high up in the sky. The black mist was violently torn apart by a golden flash. A colossal phantom of a three-pointed blade slowly emerged from the clouds. The blade was dozens of meters long. Golden light surged across it, its edge like the wrath of heaven itself. The air across the entire industrial park seemed to freeze in that exact moment. Shu Xiaodao yanked his three-pointed double-edged blade out of the ground. He swung it fiercely at the iron-clad lizard. Divine Smite. A second later, a colossal blade shadow plummeted from the sky. Boom! The golden blade crashed down from the heavens, smashing brutally right into the iron-clad lizard's skull. Its heavy black armor shattered instantly. The massive beast was violently slammed into the dirt, blasting open a trench tens of meters long. Debris blasted into the air, and thick dust billowed everywhere. When the golden light finally faded, the level 4 ironclad lizard was slumped at the bottom of the crater. Dead silent, Shu Xiaodao dropped to one knee. Panting heavily, the divine eye on his forehead slowly closed shut. The Erlang Shen totem on his right arm dimmed a little too, but he just couldn't hide the huge grin on his face. Brother Lai, wasn't that move badass? I glanced at the massive trench that split straight through the middle of the factory. Not bad, but it burned way too much energy. Shu Xiaodao let out a cheeky laugh. As long as it looked cool, that's all that matters. Phew. He caught his breath for a moment, then dug out 2 level 4 crystal cores from the skulls of the ironclad lizards. The moment he grabbed the 2 level 4 cores, the Erlang Shen totem on his right arm started to burn hot. The faint outline of the divine eye on his forehead flickered. It was clear that after slaughtering 2 level 4 ironclad lizards back to back, his totem had been completely awakened by the intense combat. His power bottleneck was finally starting to loosen, but he didn't rush to absorb the cores. He had just spammed his divine eye and divine smite. His body was completely drained. Forcing himself to absorb level 4 cores right now wouldn't be a breakthrough, it would be a death wish. Shu Xiaodao shoved the 2 cores into his backpack and flashed a big grin. Brother Lai, I'll absorb these when we get back. I nodded, but right at that moment, a piercing screech echoed from deep inside the industrial park. A half-collapsed factory building suddenly blew wide open. Dark green toxic mist poured out like a tidal wave. A massive toxic mist spider queen, almost the size of a dump truck, slowly crawled out from the ruins. Its 8 legs looked just like razor-sharp spears. It kept spewing highly corrosive mist from its abdomen. Wherever it passed, thick steel pipes sizzled and melted away. A level 4 mutant beast. The toxic mist spider queen. Shu Xiaodao was about to charge in, but I threw my arm out to stop him. Leave this one to Xinyi. Shu Xiaodao blinked in surprise. Zhang Xinyi had already tightened her grip on her Profound Heaven divine sword, slowly stepping forward. Her 9 Heavens Profound Fairy totem naturally countered poison and dark energy. Against toxic-type beasts like the toxic mist spider queen, it was the absolute perfect opponent for her to break through. Zhang Xinyi's voice was icy calm. I've got this. All 8 of the spider queen's blood-red eyes locked onto her at once. A split second later, the spider queen's abdomen bulged violently. Boom! A massive cloud of dark green venom blasted out, crashing toward Zhang Xinyi like a deadly tidal wave. But she didn't take a single step back. 6 ethereal wings slowly unfolded behind her back. A pure white light radiated from her body. Fairy's cleansing domain. A loud hum echoed through the air. A semi-transparent, glowing white domain exploded outward, with her right at the center. The moment the toxic mist slammed into the domain, it hissed and sizzled violently. Huge clouds of dark green venom were instantly purified into harmless white smoke. But spraying venom wasn't the only thing the Spider Queen could do. 8 spider legs violently smashed into the ground. In a split second, dozens of venom-soaked spider webs shot out from the ruins, lunging at Zhang Xinyi from all directions. Zhang Xinyi swung her sword, slashing through the webs in front of her, but even more shot out from her blind spots. Sizzle! A strand of toxic webbing scraped right across her forearm. Her combat suit instantly melted open, and her skin started turning a sickly greenish black. Shu Xiaodao's face dropped. Xinyi. Zhang Xinyi didn't look back. She just pressed her left hand hard over the wound. The goddess of the 9 heavens totem glowed with a soft, warm, white light, rapidly forcing the venom out of her system. I'm fine. She lifted her head, staring down the poison mist spider queen. Her gaze grew completely ice cold. It's not just spitting poison. It's using its webs to set up a massive trap. Standing off in the distance, I gave a slight nod. Zhang Xinyi's combat instincts were even sharper than I thought. The Spider Queen let out another piercing screech. An eerie green light flared up across the massive webs in the ruins. In just that short amount of time, it had turned the entire factory ruin into a deadly, venomous net. If Zhang Xinyi took even a single wrong step, she'd be completely tangled in those toxic threads. Zhang Xinyi closed her eyes. The phantom image of the Nine Heavens goddess slowly materialized behind her. This time, she didn't rush to strike. Instead, she compressed her goddess domain down to a tight 3-meter radius around her. The zone was smaller, but its purifying power absolutely skyrocketed. She took a single step forward. The moment the venomous thread under her foot lit up, her purification field instantly incinerated it into ash. A second step. With every single step she took, the toxic web beneath her feet was purged, leaving behind a glowing white ring. Moonlight step. Zhang Xinyi's silhouette suddenly blurred, drifting through the toxic web like a fleeting ray of moonlight. The Spider Queen's 8 eyes darted wildly, but it just couldn't track her real position. The very next second, the Spider Queen leapt high into the air, spitting out a highly condensed, almost liquid sphere of venom. As the toxic bomb plummeted, it hissed, melting the very air around it. Zhang Xinyi's eyes snapped wide open. The Mystic Heaven Divine Sword erupted with a blinding white light. Cleansing light strike. With a single massive slash, a pure white arc of energy sliced the venom sphere cleanly in half. The poison rained down on either side of her, melting 2 massive craters right into the ground. And Zhang Xinyi had already dashed straight through the toxic rain, appearing directly beneath the Spider Queen. Gripping her sword with both hands, the 6 wings on her back folded inward all at once. Every ounce of her purifying light condensed right onto the edge of her blade. In that moment, it felt like that pure white sword strike was the only thing left in the world. 9 heavens cleanse. The blade's light blasted upward, tearing straight through the Spider Queen's massive body. It let out a blood-curdling shriek, its 8 legs twitching uncontrollably. But the purifying energy from the strike surged deep through the wound, instantly burning up the venom sac inside its body. The poison mist Spider Queen crashed heavily to the ground. Before its dark green toxic gas could even spread, it was completely violently suppressed by the goddess's purifying domain. A level 4 poison mist Spider Queen. Dead. A dark green crystal core rolled right out of the beast's skull. Zhang Xinyi bent down and picked it up, a flash of white light glowing in her palm. The lingering poison on the core's surface was completely purged. But the second that crystal touched her hand, the goddess phantom behind her trembled slightly. Inside that dark green core, the toxic energy within felt like it was being instinctively fiercely rejected by the 9 heavens totem. Or maybe completely suffocated by its purifying power. Zhang Xinyi's aura distinctly wavered for a second, but she didn't absorb the energy in the level 4 core right away. It was way too volatile, especially since this was the core of a poison mist Spider Queen. There was still a massive amount of corruption lingering inside. Absorbing it blindly would cause a nasty backlash at best, and completely corrupt her totem at worst. She tucked the core away, and looked up at me. I gave her a nod. Hold onto it for now. Once we get back, I'll help you filter out the corruption inside. Zhang Xinyi gave a soft nod. Xu Xiaodao was staring in absolute awe. Damn, Xinyi, that sword strike you just pulled off was even cooler than mine. Zhang Xinyi sheathed her Black Heaven Divine Sword and replied calmly. We all have our strengths. Xu Xiaodao immediately flashed a grin. You bet we do. I stepped forward, and looked at the two of them. Do you know where you both messed up just now? Xu Xiaodao scratched his head. I was way too reckless. The ironclad lizard has insane defense. You went all in on your first strike without testing the waters at all. That's why your blade got stuck. If that tail swipe had actually hit you, you would have broken at least 3 ribs. Got it? I turned to look at Zhang Xinyi. And you relied way too much on your purification domain. You can purify the toxic mist, sure, but the spider webs and terrain traps aren't just poison. Whenever you face corrupted beasts from now on, don't just focus on the toxins. You need to watch how they set up the battlefield too. Understood? Gather all the cores. The lower level ones can be used to stabilize your foundation. But anything above level 3, especially the level 4 cores, never absorb them recklessly on the battlefield. Why not? My Erlang Shen totem felt like it was practically on fire just now. That's just totem resonance. It means your bottleneck is loosening. But there's more than just pure energy inside those cores. They also hold the beast's lingering feral will and corruption. The lower level ones aren't too bad. But if you don't cleanse the higher level cores properly, absorbing them blindly will trigger a totem backlash. Or permanently corrupt your destiny. Zhang Xinyi looked down at the Spider Queen's core in her hand. Even though she had already purified the outer layer, a faint, dark green mist was still swirling deep inside it. She instantly understood what I meant. So, they need to be filtered first. I nodded. When we get back, I'll use the burial coffin to refine them for you. I'll strip away all the corruption and feral will, leaving nothing but the purest totem energy. Once that's done, you can safely absorb them to break through. Soon after, all the beast cores in the South Suburb Industrial Park had been gathered. There were hundreds of low-level cores, over 20 level 3 cores and 3 level 4 cores. The Spider Queen's level 4 core went to Zhang Xinyi, while the Ironclad Lizard's 2 level 4 cores went to Xu Xiaodao. Just then, a video call from Lei Zan came through. On the screen, he was looking at the drone footage of the industrial park, visibly breathing a huge sigh of relief. Mr. Qin, we've confirmed that the beast nest in the South Suburb Industrial Park has been completely wiped out. The chemical hazard threat to the North District camp has been neutralized. I can't thank you and your 2 companions enough for stepping in. I gave him a nod. It was on our way. Plus, I needed to take them out for some real combat experience to level up anyway. Lei Zan froze for a second, then let out a wry smile. You must be joking, Mr. Qin. To the military, this is a seriously high-risk nest. I glanced at Xu Xiaodao and Zhang Xinyi. The 2 of them had just survived a brutal fight, and their energy felt way more grounded than when we left. This trip really paid off, I told Lei Zan. From now on, if you find any beast nests level 4 or higher, just send the coordinates straight to us. As long as it doesn't mess with our own plans, we'll head over and take care of it. Understood. I'll pass your message up to Commander Long. After the call ended, I looked toward the black mist slowly fading in the distance. The South Suburb Industrial Park was just the beginning. There were still tons of mutant beast nests all around Jiangzhou. To ordinary survivors, these were deadly forbidden zones, but to us, they were the ultimate training grounds. But now wasn't the time to keep hunting. Xu Xiaodao and Zhang Xinyi had just fought a grueling battle. Their bottlenecks had finally loosened up. Next, it was time to turn the crystal cores in our hands into our own true power. After getting back to Blackstone Base, I raised my right hand. The 9 dragons pulling the coffin tattoo on my back warmed up, and the coffin's devouring power quietly kicked in. The phantom of a black coffin flashed behind me, and wisps of pitch-black mist were drawn out from the 3 level 4 crystal cores. That was the lingering toxic aura and violent will trapped inside the beast cores. If ordinary awakened tried to absorb them directly, they'd have to fight it head-on with pure willpower. Win, and their power levels up. Lose, and they suffer a brutal totem backlash. But in front of the 9 dragons pulling the coffin, this toxic aura was the absolute best nourishment. The black coffin vibrated slightly, and all the impurities were instantly devoured. The glow from the 3 remaining cores became so much purer. I handed the 2 armored lizard cores to Xu Xiaodao. Then, I passed the poison mist Spider Queen's core to Zhang Xinyi. Xu Xiaodao took his cores, grinned widely, and said, "Thanks, Brother Lai." "Thank you." The very next second, the 2 of them started absorbing the core energy at the exact same time. Xu Xiaodao's power erupted first. The true Lord Erlang totem on his right arm seemed to come alive. A tiny crack opened right in the center of his forehead, and the phantom of a third eye, radiating a destructive golden light, slowly opened. Behind him, the armored, blade-wielding avatar of Lord Erlang grew increasingly solid. On the other side, Zhang Xinyi's transformation was even more incredible. The Spider Queen's core in her palm was being purified and absorbed bit by her mysterious Lady of the Nine Heavens totem. The originally dark green core energy turned into wisps of pure white mystical light as it entered her body. The mysterious Lady totem on her back manifested into 6 pure white wings of energy spreading out behind her, while a heavenly divine sword radiating a biting frost materialized in her hand. Half an hour later, both of their auras surged wildly at the same time. Xu Xiaodao was the first to open his eyes. Level 4, early stage. Level 4, middle stage, and finally stopping at the peak of level 4. Zhang Xinyi's aura was climbing steadily too. The mysterious lady avatar grew more and more solid, and ultimately stopped at the peak of level 4 as well. Xu Xiaodao punched the ground in pure excitement. Boom! He smashed a shallow crater right into the alloy floor. Holy crap, so this is the peak of level 4. I feel terrifyingly strong right now. Zhang Xinyi retracted her wings and opened her eyes. She wasn't as dramatic as Xu Xiaodao, but a clear flash of joy still crossed her eyes. The mysterious lady's purification domain has expanded its range by 3 times. If we run into large-scale poison mist, or mind-corrupting beasts again, I can hold up a safe zone for us. I nodded in satisfaction. Right at that moment, Lei Zan's video call popped up on the screen. Lei Zan looked at the 3 of us, a look of undeniable shock in his eyes. Mr. Qin, the high-risk nest in the Southern Suburbs Industrial Park has been officially cleared out today. The pressure on the North District camp has been greatly reduced. Commander Long asked me to pass on his gratitude. Alright, the comms disconnected. Shu Xiaodao stretched lazily. Brother Lai, are we still heading out to hunt monsters tomorrow? I looked at the constantly refreshing National Mutant Beast alerts on the screen. And slowly replied, there's no need to worry about the Jiangzhou area for now. Next, we should take a look at the other war zones.